Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for the Daily Planet, is confronted with one of the weirdest mysteries of his adventurous career, as the city of Metropolis is attacked by the ghost of Captain Kidd.
Aye, matey, and no man living can stop me. I'm after buried treasure, and I know where to find it. So avast there, you gimlet-eyed lovers. Clear the decks in the name of Captain Kidd.
322 years ago, gang, a fellow named Peter Minuit was doing some trading with the American Indians. He was swapping beads for corn and money for blankets when the Indians, a little short on cash, offered to throw an island of theirs called Manhattan into the deal in return for $24. Peter Minuit consulted with his friends to make sure he wasn't overpaying and finally agreed to buy Manhattan. But he never dreamed that the pretty little island would someday grow into one of the greatest cities in the world, with monumental skyscrapers, subways, and stores, and that the empty fields would one day house millions of people and become headquarters for the United Nations. How could he know that what he had bought for $24 would develop into the tremendous metropolis of New York City, and that it would be the result of many people working side by side, all kinds of people? Yes, New York City, as we know it today, is the result of the work of the Dutch who first settled here, of the English and French who came not much later, of the Protestants, Catholics, and Jews who had fled to the New World to escape religious persecution. It was the work of the African Negroes who came in slavery but remained to build freedom. Italians, Hungarians, Swedes, Irish, Russians, Slovaks, Chinese, millions and millions of people from the four corners of the world, of all colors and religions and nationalities, who came to Peter Minuit's little island. Yes, they all gave it their labor, their ideas, and their devotion, and they created a miracle. Yes, gang, all of these people, all of those various nationalities working together transformed a grassy little island into New York City, capital of the world.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Beneath the sprawling city of Metropolis lies a vast network of dimly lit tunnels, through which gleaming steel rails extend web-like in all directions. Mile after mile of track carrying thundering electric trains crowded with people. This is the lifeline of a mighty city, the great Metropolis subway. In the central traffic office, the mechanical brain of the underground subway system, two men are seated before an electrified map on which pinpoints of red and green light indicate the positions of all trains moving through the twisting labyrinth of tunnels. Below the map is a long row of switches, each marked with a number. To the left and right are plate glass windows looking out on the murky darkness of the underground city. Suddenly a train roars past the windows, its lights illuminating the faces of the two men. One of them reaches out and throws a switch. And as the last car disappears into the darkness, he slips off his high stool and stretches his cramped muscles.
All clear now until 4:42 at 8:20. I'll go up and get a pot of coffee.
Okay.
How about a cruller, Joe, or one of them jelly buns?
No, thanks. Coffee will do me.
Right.
Alone now in the traffic office, Joe Miller, chief dispatcher, watches the illuminated map with its tiny lights blinking like red and green fireflies. He looks up at the clock, but before his eyes can reach it, he catches a reflection in the plate glass window, and he stiffens. Behind him, the door of the traffic office is opening slowly, inch by inch. Holding his breath, Joe Miller remains motionless, watching the window. Suddenly, a strange figure slips into the room and closes the door quickly behind him. Joe Miller spins around on his stool. But before he can speak, the figure lunges at him, and the ghostly silence of the underground subway office is broken by a terrified scream.
Now, Kent, don't stand there gawking at me. Henderson's at the hospital now. Go down and get the story.
But, Chief, it's utterly fantastic.
No, it is it? I suppose the entire breakdown of the Metropolis subway system is fantastic.
No, but...
I suppose dozens of trains stalled in dark tunnels and thousands of people in panic is fantastic.
Of course not, but
Then stop talking so much and get down to the city hospital and get the story from that chief dispatcher. His name's Joe Miller.
Okay, but...
Nothing but buts. Get that story and get it fast. I want it as the editor of the Planet, and I want it as mayor of Metropolis. Now go ahead.
Now look, Kent. I said no reporters, and I meant no reporters, and that includes you.
Now look, Inspector...
Murphy, show Mr. Kent what the door of the hospital looks like from the outside.
You're forgetting this is a hospital corridor, Inspector. You shouldn't raise your voice.
I'll raise more than my voice, Kent, believe me. Now, I've got enough trouble with this case without you byline boys hounding me. Now, be a nice fellow and go quietly.
But, Inspector, you don't understand. I'm not here as a reporter.
Oh, no?
No, I'm the personal representative of the Honorable Perry White, mayor of Metropolis.
All right, you win. But you've got to promise me one thing.
Just name it.
Not a word of this crazy story gets into the papers until we make some sense of it.
Okay. Where does it stand now?
In the middle of nowhere.
What?
I'm waiting to talk to Miller. He got a bad slash on the arm, and the doctors are patching it up.
How did he get the slash?
From a cutlass, he says.
A what?
A cutlass. A pirate's cutlass.
You can come in now, Inspector.
Thanks, Doc. Okay, Kent.
Go easy with him. He's still pretty jittery.
Don't worry. Feeling better, Mr. Miller?
Yes, thank you.
I'm Inspector Henderson, and this is Clark Kent of the Daily... of the mayor's office.
Hello.
We'd like to get your story firsthand.
You won't believe it. Nobody believes it, but I swear it happened. I swear by everything I hold sacred, I saw him as clearly as I see you.
Easy now, Mr. Miller. Don't get yourself excited.
Somebody's got to believe me. Don't you understand? Somebody's got to, or else I'll go out of my mind.
I'll believe anything you tell me, Mr. Miller.
You will?
Mm-hmm.
You will, really?
Yes, I will.
All right. I'll tell you just what happened. Remember, you promised to believe me.
That's right.
Well, I was alone in the traffic office. Dan, that's Dan O'Keefe, had gone up to get a pot of coffee.
Uh-huh.
I happened to look out the window, and I saw the door opening behind me. Before I could turn around, someone slipped into the office and closed the door after it. The back of the office is kind of dark, but my eyes are sharp, and I could see him standing there looking at me.
Who was it?
Well, I'm coming to that.
Mm-hmm.
He was about your height. He was built bigger. He was wearing boots and leather breeches and had a bright red sash around his waist. His coat was black. Yeah, black. And it was fitted tight. And on his head, he wore a big three-cornered hat. On the front of it, there was a skull and crossbones.
Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
You think I'm crazy? You think I'm making all this up? Well, I didn't make up this cut in my arm.
No, of course not. What happened after you turned around to face him?
Well, he had kind of a sword in his hand, a curved sword. He waved it over his head, and he came at me yelling, "Nobody can stop Captain Kidd." Well, I tried to get out of the way, but I couldn't. I felt the edge of the sword cutting into my arm, and that's all I remember until I woke up in the ambulance, and they were bringing me to the hospital.
Who found him, Inspector?
O'Keefe, when he came back with the coffee.
Uh-huh.
Miller was on the floor, bleeding like a stuck pig. And all the switches were messed up. Fortunately, whoever did this pulled the power switch and stalled every subway train throughout the city. Otherwise, there would have been head-on collisions. Now,
Hold it, Inspector. Someone at the door.
Inspector in there, Mr. Kent?
Uh-huh.
What is it, Murphy?
Well, this envelope came over from headquarters. Dolan brought it over, and he said to tell you they found it on the floor of the traffic office down in the subway.
Found what?
What's in the envelope, I guess.
Looks like a medal.
May I see it, Inspector? Thanks.
What is it, Kent?
What the... What? This is incredible.
What's incredible?
This. It's a Spanish gold coin dated 1745, when Captain Kidd, the pirate chief, was alive.
We'll be back with the startling climax of today's episode in just a moment. So keep listening.
Gang, 25 years ago this week, in 1923, the first non-stop transcontinental flight was made. To Americans, that flight was something tremendous. Imagine flying across America in only 27 hours. That was speed, fella. Well, non-stop transcontinental flights are old hat today. But the new transcontinental speed record isn't. 2 years ago, Colonel W.H. Consul flew a P-80 jet-propelled monoplane from New York to Los Angeles in 4 hours, 13 minutes, and 25 seconds at the fantastic speed of 580 miles an hour. Can you imagine that? Almost the same course that it took 27 hours to fly in 1923 can be flown in 4 hours today. Well, gang, there's no two ways about it. The world has shrunk since 1923. It takes so much less time to get from one end of the earth to another that it's almost as if the distances were really smaller. That's why people say we're all living in each other's backyards. From China, France, India, Palestine, it's all just a hop, skip, and a jump right to your door. Grab a plane, and you're there in no time. Now, we all know that to keep peace in our own backyard, we've got to stay on good terms with our neighbors. Who likes angry hollering over the fence? Nobody. And that's what happens when neighbors quarrel. Well, the same thing goes on internationally, too. Every country is our next-door neighbor now. And if we want to keep peace, we've got to stay on good terms with them all. Neighbors can be awful pains in the neck if they're always squabbling, but swell fun if they're real friends. So let's do all we can to preserve peace among the people of the world.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman.
In his City Hall office, Perry White, recently elected mayor of Metropolis, is pacing the floor like a caged lion. Suddenly, he stops short and faces Clark Kent.
I don't care what you say, Kent. I'm not going to issue a statement. If Henderson wants to issue one, let him.
But, Chief, it's your duty as mayor of the city to calm people down. Thousands of them were caught in the subway this morning, and they certainly deserve an explanation.
Well, what am I going to tell them? That the ghost of Captain Kidd, of a pirate chief, disrupted the subway system?
Nobody said he was a ghost.
Oh, what else could he be? He's been dead for 200 years.
Wait a minute. Calm down for a minute.
All right. All right, Mr. Kent. You solve the problem. You tell me what kind of a statement I can issue.
Well, if you listen, I'll tell you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Very simple. You issue a statement to the effect that someone, as yet unidentified, attempted, don't forget that word, attempted to disrupt the subway system, but the prompt action of the police, etc., etc.
What about the Captain Kidd business?
Well, what about it?
How am I going to explain that away?
You don't have to at the moment. All you do is just...
Oh, blast that girl. I told her no calls. I thought I told you... Who? Oh, all right. Put him on. It's Henderson. Oh, maybe I can talk him into wishing... Hello? Yes. Now, wait a minute. You're talking too fast. What? Say that again. Oh, no.
What is it, Chief?
The Metropolis Bank was just robbed of $500,000 by...
By whom?
Jesse James and his gang.
First Captain Kidd, and now Jesse James, both fabulous bad men out of the past, who seemingly have come to haunt the city of Metropolis. What is the answer to this puzzling mystery? We'll know more tomorrow when Superman takes a hand. So be sure to tune in again tomorrow, same time, same station, and listen to Chapter 2 of The Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you will hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, in his guise of Clark Kent, Superman is about to begin an investigation of the Metropolis subway disaster when he is suddenly interrupted by the startling news that the Ghost Brigade has struck again.
Chief, it's so incredible I can hardly believe it.
Incredible or not, it's true. To the tune of $500,000.
Are you sure you got the message straight?
I'm positive. The Metropolis National Bank was held up by Jesse James and his gang.
Dozens of kids who live in the park action of Brooklyn had a big time last week, gang. Dressed in caps and jackets from their brothers' uniforms and armed with dime store pistols, they formed a welcoming committee for General Omar Bradley, the Army's chief of staff, who was visiting the Jewish hospital of Brooklyn just so that he could fulfill a promise he had made 2 years ago. You see, in one of the children's wards of the hospital, there's a wonderful United Nations mural with the signatures of many famous people who are trying to bring peace to the world. Now, General Bradley had been invited to add his name to the roster and had promised to do so. Well, now, long before the general's arrival, the boys had gathered in platoons on the sidewalk outside the hospital. Finally, a motorcycle escort roared down the street. It was General Bradley's convoy. The police immediately formed a line to keep the spectators back, but some of the boys slid through it anyway and stood before the general's khaki-colored limousine as it drew to a stop. Then one lad pulled out a giant American flag, while the others stood by at attention. They all saluted, and General Bradley, striding through the double line of police, smilingly returned the salutes of the boys. Then he returned and hurried into the hospital and up to the children's ward. There he signed the United Nations mural, adding his name to those of other great ones up there. It was a very impressive moment, for this mural in the Jewish hospital of Brooklyn is a reminder to all of us, you, me, and General Bradley, too, that we must all work and never stop working to achieve real peace in the world by having real understanding among men of all races, religions, and of all nationalities.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Within the short space of 15 minutes of a spring morning, the vast network of the Metropolis subway in which millions of people rode daily to and from work suddenly became a scene of chaos and panic. From one end of the city to the other, crowded trains were stalled, the passengers trapped in smoke-filled tunnels, and transportation throughout Metropolis was brought to an abrupt halt. The administrative forces of the city, led by Mayor Perry White, immediately went into high gear to meet the emergency. And then, out of the confusion, one question screamed uppermost in the minds of everyone affected. How did it happen? The strange answer was supplied by Joe Miller, the chief dispatcher of the subway.
You won't believe me. You'll think I'm crazy. But I swear it happened. I was alone in the central office when all of a sudden somebody came in. He was wearing boots and leather breeches. He had a big red sash around his waist. On his head he wore a big three-cornered hat, and on it there was a skull and crossbones. It was Captain Kidd who messed up the subway. Captain Kidd, the pirate.
Then, as if to supply final proof for the seemingly fantastic story, a coin was found in the traffic control office. A coin of Spanish gold, dated 1745. But now Clark Kent has just received news of another startling development, and we find him in a cab with young Jimmy Olsen speeding through city traffic, heading for the Metropolis Bank.
Jeepers, Mr. Kent, $500,000. I didn't think there was that much money in the whole world.
It's a big haul, Jim. Worst robbery we've ever had in Metropolis.
And in broad daylight, too. He sure had nerve.
Well, Jesse James was famous for his nerve.
Jesse James? What are you talking about, Mr. Kent?
Inspector Henderson reported that Jesse James and his gang of outlaws pulled the robbery.
What? But Jesse James is dead. He's been dead a long time.
I know, so is Captain Kidd, but he was seen this morning, too.
Jeepers, Mr. Kent, what's going on in this town?
That's what I'd like to know, Jim.
Here you are, Sid. Metropolis Bank.
Okay. Pile out, Jim. We'll find Inspector Henderson inside. There's Inspector Henderson, Jim. Come on.
Who's that he's talking to, Mr. Kent?
Probably Mr. Presby, the bank president.
Boy, he looks mad enough to chew nails.
You would be, too, if you were in his shoes, I guess. Hello, Inspector.
Kent, what are you doing here? I thought I gave orders that no report...
Now, don't start that again. I'm here as Mayor White's personal representative, remember?
Indeed. Well, gentlemen, you can tell Perry White for me that in all my years as a citizen of Metropolis, I've never witnessed a more flagrant exhibition of incompetence on the part of our so-called law enforcement.
Now, Mr. Presby, please.
I want you to give the mayor a full report of this outrage, Mr. Kent.
Well, I'll be very glad to, sir, but I need some facts. Now, exactly what happened?
We were robbed of $500,000. That's what happened.
Yes, I know that, but how?
And what's this routine about Jesse James?
Well, Mr. Presby claims he saw Jesse James and his brother Frank James hold up the bank.
Inspector Henderson, I resent your implication of the timeline. I saw them with my own eyes. Boots, spurs, 10-gallon hats, everything. Even black handkerchiefs across their faces.
Then how could you be sure they were really the James boys?
They called each other Frank and Jesse. Oh. And when they left, they shouted, "The James boys ride again."
Jeepers.
And they rode horses.
My men haven't found anyone who saw two horsemen.
I don't care what your men haven't found. It's just another example of their incompetence. I tell you, I saw them with my own eyes.
I'm sure you did, Mr. Presby, but there must be some reasonable explanation. Now, tell me, where were they standing when they actually held up the bank?
Well, the one who was called Jesse stood out in the center of the bank. There, in line with the first teller's cage.
About here, sir?
Yes. And the other one, Frank, collected the money.
How could they get so much, Mr. Presby? Do you usually have $500,000 in cash lying around?
No, but we were making up some large payroll.
Hey, what's this?
What have you got, Mr. Kent?
Take a look at this, Inspector.
What is it?
Piece of wax, I think.
Wax?
Yes. Do your cleaning men use wax on these floors, Mr. Presby?
No, not that I know of.
Oh? And you're sure that this Jesse James was standing right here?
I said so, didn't I? Anyway, why are you wasting time with trifles like that? Inspector Henderson,
Jim,
yes, Mr. Kent?
I want you to call Perry White at City Hall and tell him exactly what Mr. Presby told us, then beat it back to the office and wait for me.
Okay, but what are you going to do?
A little fast checking. Wish me luck, Jim.
Chief, will you please stop that merry-go-round? You're making me dizzy.
Well, I'm dizzy now, Lois. Captain Kidd, Jesse James. Great jump of Jehoshaphat. What's going on in this town?
Well, you won't find out by pacing the floor.
Oh, why in heaven's name doesn't Kent phone? I told him to report to me as soon as he found out anything.
Maybe he has nothing to report. You should have sent me.
Sent you, eh? Well, that's probably him now. Hello? Who? I'll put him on.
Who is it, Chief?
It's Blaine, the fire commissioner.
Oh?
Hello, Blaine? Oh, what can I do for you? What? No, wait. Calm down, will you, man?
What is it, Chief?
The docks. What's wrong with them? Great stubborn... How did it start? Well, can you handle it all right?
Chief, what's cooking?
All right, I'll be right down.
What is it, Chief? What's the matter?
Oh, plenty. There's a fire at the city oil dump.
A fire?
5 barges, all fully loaded with fuel oil, are going up in smoke. Come on, Lois, we've got to get down there.
There's Mr. Blaine, Chief.
Where?
On that fire truck.
Oh, yes. Blaine.
Oh, Mayor White. Nice to get here, sir.
How's it going?
Still nip and tuck. We can't get the blaze under control. We're just trying to keep it from spreading.
Find out how it started?
According to reports, the whole pier seemed to have flooded.
Good heavens.
What in the world?
Look, Chief, look.
Where?
Out at the end of the pier. See, the smoke is lifting.
Great Jehoshaphat. What is that?
Don't you recognize him? It's Nero.
Nero?
Yes, the Roman emperor who fiddled while Rome burned.
Too surprised to move, Lois Lane, Perry White, and the fire commissioner can only stare in speechless horror at the fantastic figure who stands at the end of the blazing pier, feet spread wide, a white Roman toga billowing about his fat body, and a leafy garland encircling his brow as he saws away at his fiddle while flames leap and crackle around him. It is unmistakably Nero, the fabulous Roman emperor. In just a moment, we'll bring you the suspense-packed climax of today's episode. So keep listening.
Boys and girls, today I'm getting right down to brass tacks. I know that most of you have younger brothers and sisters, and they look up to you. You're their big brother. Well, that makes you feel pretty good. But I'm sure you've learned by now that lots of responsibility goes along with being a big brother. You've got to set an example. Always know the score and come through in the tough spot. You know that if you let the kid brother down, even once, you fall in his opinion and in your own. Well, in some ways, the United States is just the same as you. In the United Nations, Uncle Sam is a big brother, too. We set an example for many other countries, and they look up to us. But if the things we do at home aren't up to standard, our international reputation suffers. Our leadership is weakened. When, for instance, we don't play fair with our own citizens, when we don't give them a square deal because of their race or religion, then we as a nation lose face in the eyes of the world. Don't forget that we promised all Americans equal rights in our Constitution, and every one of us must help keep that promise. Otherwise, we're going back on our word. Now, there's lots of ways that you and your friends can help give a square deal to every American. For instance, make sure your club is open to boys of every race and religion. Now, who can tell? Maybe that kid down the block, the one whose folks can't speak English so well, is just the outfielder your baseball team's been looking for. By such little things, you'll be doing your share toward helping Uncle Sam keep his reputation as being big brother to the world.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Summoned to the Metropolis waterfront, where a gigantic fire, fed by thousands of gallons of oil, blazes out of control, Lois Lane and Mayor Perry White were startled when, through the billowing black smoke, they caught a glimpse of a figure easily recognizable as Nero, the long-dead Roman dictator. But as quickly as he had appeared, the smoke closed around his fat toga-clad body, and when it cleared again, he had vanished.
I don't believe it. I was seeing things.
No, Chief, he was standing right out there at the end of the pier. You saw him too, Commissioner Blake.
Well, I saw something. Commissioner Blake! Oh, Bailey, did you send in another alarm?
Yes, sir. But I just got a message from the fireboat out in the harbor.
Well?
The burning oil is floating out into the harbor with the tide. They can't stop it.
Good heavens!
Tell the skipper to pull back slowly and clear all shipping out.
But he can't, sir. There are 2 nitrate boats out there at anchor.
Nitrate boats?
Most of the crews are ashore. They can't get steam up in time.
Nitrate! Great Caesar Blaine! Do you realize what will happen if the fire reaches those boats?
Remember what happened in Texas?
Great Scott, the nitrate will explode and Metropolis will be wiped out.
Through the angry sea of flame now spreading swiftly over the placid waters of Metropolis Harbor, the 2 freighters can be dimly seen, idly swinging at anchor. 2 ships carrying a cargo of death and destruction in their holds. How can the fire be stopped before it reaches the nitrate? And what is the explanation behind the sudden appearances of the ghosts of Captain Kidd, Jesse James, and Nero? For the answers to some of these questions, be sure to listen to Chapter 3 of The Ghost Brigade. Tomorrow, same time, same station, on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you'll hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, pursues his investigation of the Ghost Brigade as disaster again threatens the city of Metropolis.
Here, White, I've just received a radio report from the fireboat that's fighting this blaze from the other side.
Well?
The skipper reports the burning oil is floating out into the harbor with the tide.
No.
And there are 2 freighters out there loaded with nitrate.
Nitrate! Great Caesar! If the fire reaches those freighters, the blast will wipe out Metropolis.
That's right, and I'm afraid there's nothing we can do to stop it.
Gang, ever see a boomerang? Well, it's a curved or angular club quite wide at the center where it bends, but tapered down at the tip so that it's easy to grasp. Its general shape is something like the rounded corner of a picture frame. It's a mighty strange weapon used by Australian natives, who throw it at their attacking enemies and handle the weapon so that it flies right back to their hands after they throw it. But very often, if they aren't careful, the boomerang bounces back and hurts them instead of the enemy. Well, boys and girls, there are some ideas that are boomerangs. Ideas that are meant to hurt others, but all too often they snap back and hurt the person who believes them. For instance, the idea that one boy or girl is better than any other for racial or religious reasons is a boomerang idea. And those who throw that idea around are sure to be hurt by it. Here's just one example of how it works. Now, suppose you're part of a club that you hope will be very successful. So, of course, you've got to have the very best kind of club members. And that means everything depends on how you pick them. Now, if you're foolish enough to keep out some boys or girls because of their religion, let's say, you may be keeping out just the very people who could make your club a success. Because, after all the kids with personality and popularity don't belong to just one faith. Every group has its fair share of swell guys and nasties. So if in picking club members, you vote against all the boys and girls who belong to a religion or race different from your own, you're bound to be keeping out some of the swell guys who can make your club a really top-notch one. Your prejudice will boomerang and hurt you in the long run. And what's more, you'll deserve it. So try to remember that. Always.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Like evil reincarnations of the past, the ghosts of three famous bad men have suddenly and strangely appeared in Metropolis. And each of their visits has spelled disaster. First, a man clearly identified as Captain Kidd, the bloodthirsty 17th century pirate, was seen in the Central Traffic Control Office of the Metropolis subway, claiming to have returned for a hidden cache of Spanish gold. And a few moments later, the vast underground transportation system broke down, stranding hundreds of thousands of people and paralyzing the entire city. Then, a few short hours later, the Metropolis National Bank was robbed of $500,000 in a daring raid by two men wearing black cowboy outfits with black kerchiefs masking their faces. Men the bank president himself swore could be none other than the notorious Western bandits, Jesse and Frank James. And still later, a tremendous fire broke out at the city docks, threatening the entire waterfront. Suddenly, in the midst of the flames, was seen the figure of another man out of the past. It was Nero, the emperor tyrant of long, long ago, who fiddled while the city burned. Now we join Superman, who in his guise of Clark Kent, the mild-mannered reporter, is unaware of the grave danger at the waterfront as he carries on his investigation of a strange clue he found in the Metropolis Bank. At the Chemical Analysis Laboratory in Central Police Headquarters, he shows the officer in charge a small piece of wax.
I'd like you to check this for me, Sergeant. Analyze it and see if you can tell me what kind of wax it is, how it was used, and where I could find more of it.
It's an odd color. Where'd you get it?
On the floor of the Metropolis Bank.
Where they pulled that stick up this afternoon?
Right. And here's another piece. This one was on the floor of the Subway Central Control Office.
Hey, what gives, Kent? You turning detective?
Yeah, sort of. Don't you think it's a pretty odd coincidence, finding pieces of wax in both places?
Maybe. Let's see. They're different colors. One's red and the other's black. Hey, suppose I go to work on them. Things are kind of slow. Won't take me more than an hour.
Oh, good. Then I'll wait.
Okay, make yourself comfortable. Take that chair by the window.
Thanks.
Yeah, sounds like the fire boys are having themselves a time today. That's the third company that's gone by in the last 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I hope they're not all going to the same fire.
Well, they're heading downtown. Great Scott, look at that black smoke.
Yeah, where?
See it? That's oil smoke.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Looks like it's around the city docks.
Hey, that's an oil fire, and it's going strong. I'll see you later, Sergeant.
Where you going?
To the docks, as fast as I can. Blaine, what about the fireboat?
No word from it yet, sir. I'm worried about those nitrate boats. They're still swinging anchor.
Isn't there anything more we can do?
No, our only hope is the fireboat. And, Your Honor, I think it would be safer for you and Miss Lane to go back.
I've already sent Miss Lane back, but I'm staying.
But the explosion, sir, if that stuff goes off...
If it does, we're all finished.
Commissioner Blaine! Commissioner Blaine!
Oh, yes, Bailey.
Just got a report from the fireboat, sir.
Well?
Come on, man. Out with it, out with it.
Well, they can't hold the fire, sir. Less than 50 feet from the freighter. The tide's running strong. They've got to get out.
Oh, no.
Well, Nick Mailwhite. Bailey, order all the men in the area to lie down, shield themselves from the blast as much as they can. Then wait for further orders.
Yes, sir.
Is that all you're going to do, Blaine?
No, sir. I'm going to pray. Harder than I've ever prayed in my life.
Turning, Perry White and Commissioner Blaine stare through the billowing clouds of black smoke at the leaping tongues of flames spreading over the harbor waters and watch in mute horror as they begin to lick at the steel hulls of the death-laden freighters. In another moment, there will be chaos. But unseen by anyone on shore, Superman, rocketing through the choking clouds of smoke, spots the danger.
Great Scott, this is serious. There's no time to beat that fire back now. There's only one thing left to do. Now!
Floating down, Superman reaches the bow of the nearest freighter, lifts the heavy anchor holding it clear out of the water, and then, leaping to the next ship, duplicates his feat. Working with almost blinding speed, he ties the heavy anchor chains into a knot, and looping it around his waist, dives into the water. Then, calling on his superhuman strength, he tows the heavy craft out of danger.
But what happened, Mr. White? Jeepers, those freighters couldn't have moved by themselves.
Well, that's what it looked like, Jim. It was an amazing sight. They finally stopped out in the bay. When the Coast Guard boat caught up to them, they were drifting at anchor again as though nothing had happened.
I bet I know what happened.
Oh, you do you?
I bet you anything Superman had a hand in it.
Superman?
Sure, who else?
Well, maybe you're right. If so, the whole city owes him a vote of thanks.
But, Mr. White, what about that man you saw on the end of the dock? You said it was Nero, the old Roman emperor.
Well, that's who he looked like.
But he's dead. He's been dead for hundreds of years.
Great Caesar, don't you think I know that? Captain Kidd is dead, too, and Jesse James, and they were seen.
Jimmy, do you know where the chief is?
White.
Oh, who do you think I am? King Tut?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
Obviously. Now, where have you been?
Looking for you. I went all the way down to City Hall.
It's the usual practice for an editor to visit his own paper once in a while.
Okay, Chief, okay.
Now, do you mind explaining where you've been and what you've been doing all afternoon?
I will in a minute, but I think you'd better take a look at this first.
What?
A special evening extra of the Daily Blade.
Ha! The Blade. Since when is there anything worth seeing in that yellow rag?
Since right now. Take a look.
Oh, all right, let's see it. With all the trouble I have on my hands now, I don't see why I'd have... Great suffering sassafras.
I thought so.
What is it, Mr. Kent?
I'll sue them. That's what I'll do.
Wait a minute.
Slander.
Please, Mr.
Easy.
Kent, tell me.
There's a headline on the front page of the Blade, Jim. A headline putting the blame for everything that happened in Metropolis today on Mayor Perry White.
Wide-eyed with amazement, Jimmy races around the corner of the desk and stares over Perry White's shoulder as he spreads the copy of the Daily Blade wide. In bold black print, the headline shrieks,
Perry White responsible for civic disorders.
Why has the Daily Blade unleashed this sudden attack? Can the paper possibly prove its charges? There's a startling new development ahead, gang, so keep listening.
Gang, do you know why Pikes Peak is where it is and how come the Grand Canyon has so many different colors? Well, some folks say that it is all the doing of Paul Bunyan. Now, Paul Bunyan is said to have built Pikes Peak in his spare time and then hand-painted the Grand Canyon just for some relaxation. Well, that's how the story goes. For Paul Bunyan is America's favorite folk hero, and the tales that have grown up about this giant are almost as tall as he is supposed to have been. Yes, gang, the remarkable exploits of Paul Bunyan make thrilling stories today after many years of being told and retold by pioneers and lumbermen around the campfires and in faraway parts of the land. They began as simple stories, and with each retelling an extra twist, a new angle was added until Paul Bunyan became a favorite national folk hero. And from the stories you hear today, handed down from the pioneers, why, there wasn't anything anywhere that Paul couldn't do or hadn't done. Well, everybody knows that these are wonderful tall stories, although nobody actually believes them. But strange as it may seem, there are other not-so-wonderful tall stories making the rounds today. It seems fantastic, and yet some people talk as if super special people exist today. Super special because they belong to a certain race or religion. And believe it or not, there are dopes who swallow that phony baloney. Well, since science has shown us that no man is actually different or better than another because of his race or religion, there's no excuse for any sucker to believe such tall stories. Unless, of course, they're the kind who still believe in dragons and witches on broomsticks, but don't you be one of those.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. It is later the same evening, and on an only stretch of highway leading into Metropolis, a huge truck roars through the darkness. In the cabin, the driver yawns, checks his watch, then turns to his helper, nodding on the seat beside him.
Another half hour and we'll hit the city line, Bill.
Good. I'm beat. Working a double shift is too much for me.
Yeah, you can say that again. But we'll get paid double time.
That's some help.
We must be carting a pretty valuable load for them to rush us through like this.
Yeah, we are. The dispatcher back at Galesburg said they needed the stuff in Metropolis pretty bad.
Hey, he's off. Something on the road.
Huh?
There's a guy standing out there waving a flashlight.
Oh, yeah. I can see the parking lights of a car off to the side. Hey, he must be in trouble.
Want it stop?
Well, this is a pretty lonely stretch. Might not be another car long for some time. Yeah, sure, let's give the guy a hand.
Okay. I hope it ain't a flat tire. I don't feel like crawling around under... Hey.
Huh?
What happened to him?
Oh, I don't... Jumping catfish, what's that?
I don't know. Oh, my arm!
What's it? Why, an arrow. Holy smoke. Hey, Bill, I must be going crazy or something. Wait, look. We're being attacked by Indians.
In the brilliant glare of the truck headlights, menacing figures run and dance wildly, and the two truckmen cower back, unable to believe their eyes. For the wildly gesturing men are clothed in breechclouts. They wear feathered headdresses, and their bronze-colored skin is painted in garish colors. There can be no mistake. They are Indians. But where did they come from? What are Indians in full war paint, armed with bows and arrows, doing on a modern highway? We'll know tomorrow, gang, so be sure to hear episode 4 of the Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you will hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, probes for a reason behind the sudden vicious attack on Mayor Perry White, as the mysterious Ghost Brigade strikes again.
Jumping catfish, what's that?
Oh, my arm! My arm!
Your arm, what's that? It's an arrow.
An arrow?
Yeah.
An arrow in your arm.
Holy smokes! Hurts! Bill! You see what I see? Look! Indians!
Tomorrow, gang, is a day etched with blood on the calendars of the world. A day we shall never forget. For on May 8th of 1945, the war in Europe ended. It was VE Day, victory in Europe. Now, to most of us, that meant that our brothers and fathers would soon be home from the war. But some of our brothers and fathers came home with Purple Heart medals because they had been wounded. And some did not return at all. This was the price of victory. The price paid by the brothers and fathers of youngsters who are white and colored, Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish. Our soldiers fought so that there would be victory in Europe and freedom at home for you and me and all Americans of all races and religions. You know, gang, there's really nothing glamorous about war. That's why parading and saluting is not the best way to celebrate VE Day. The best way is to try and do something to make peace stay with us forever. Well, how can you do that? Well, when you turn thumbs down on bullies, then you're sticking up for freedom from fear. When you choose a friend because he's a regular guy and never mind his religion, then you're really on the side of freedom of religion. When you defend every fellow's right to speak his mind, whether or not you agree with him, then you're fighting for freedom of speech. And when you give a quarter or a dime to the United Nations appeal to feed the starving children of Europe, then you're helping to bring about freedom from want for all. By doing those things, you fight for the four freedoms too, just as your soldier dads and your soldier brothers did.
And now, The Adventures of Superman. It is late evening in Metropolis, and the downtown business district of the city is quiet and dark, except for one building, the towering skyscraper housing the offices of the Daily Planet. The entire structure is alive with the low, powerful throb of giant presses, turning out thousands upon thousands of copies of the early morning edition. But upstairs, in the office of Perry White, just off the large city room, things are far from routine. The gray-haired editor's face is set in angry lines, and his eyes are bright with anger as Clark Kent reads an editorial printed on the front page of the latest edition of the opposition paper, the Daily Blade.
Therefore, in the light of the tragic events of the day, we can come to only one conclusion. The present city administration, headed by Perry White, is corrupt and hopelessly incompetent.
Corrupt? They accuse me of corruption?
Oh, pretty strong words.
Accuse me of corrupt government? Why, I'll show that yellow rag. I'll show them. Hello.
Chief.
Hello, this is Perry White.
Chief, wait.
Let me take them down in the press room.
Chief, what are you going to do?
Blast right back at them, that's what. If they want to fight, I'm just the one to give it to them.
No, Chief, now don't do anything rash.
Hello, Jacobs.
Chief,
Stop
will you
the presses and reset the front page.
Chief.
Give me 2 columns for a special editorial.
Chief, please, will you listen to me?
You got that, Jacobs? 2 columns. Okay, I'll rush it down to you as fast as I can. Now, where's the typewriter?
Wait a minute. You can't do this.
Who says I can't?
I don't mean you can't. I'm asking you not to. You'll be making a big mistake.
Oh, I see. What you want me to do is to let them get away with these filthy lies.
Not at all, but this is no time to fight back. You're in no position to prove that they're wrong.
Can they prove they're right?
I don't know. That's what worries me.
What? Do you mean to say that you believe that...
No, Chief. No, of course I don't believe them. But, well, look at it this way. The Blade has always been sniping at you every chance they got. But there's never been a broadside like this. They must be leveling for something big.
So what would you suggest I do about it, mastermind?
Issue a statement from your office at City Hall tomorrow. A statement to all papers, so it won't sound like a personal feud between the Planet and the Blade. Maybe by that time you'll have something to report.
Well, I don't know.
Now, go on, Chief. Call Jacobs. Cancel that last order.
Why I let you talk me into these things, I'll never know.
You'll thank me for it before we're through.
Hello. Get me Jacobs again. Hurry it up. Why did I ever run for mayor? Why, I ask you?
Because you're an honest man who wanted an honest administration.
Hello, Jacobs. Perry White again. Never mind that change. Roll it off as it stands. Right. Sorry I caused you so much trouble. Okay. All right, campaign manager. Now what?
We'll work out an official statement later. Right now, I want to show you a couple of things I found.
Now, who in blazes would that be? Come in.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Huh?
You remember me, I trust. My name is Hammer, Albert Hammer, from...
Oh, yes, the 4th District. You're the new councilman, aren't you?
Yes.
Sorry I didn't recognize you at first. Oh, have a seat.
Thank you.
This is Clark Kent, one of my reporters.
How do you do, sir?
Oh, Mr. Kent, of course. I've seen your byline in the paper many times. Glad to meet you.
Well, Hammer, what can I do for you?
You're probably wondering at the lateness of my visit. Your Honor, I assure you I've come on an exceedingly important errand. Exceedingly important.
Yes, what is it?
I want to know what's going on in the city of Metropolis.
What do you mean?
I mean the breakdown in the subway this morning, the robbery of the Metropolis National Bank, the disastrous fire at the waterfront.
Oh, they were accidents. They just happened, that's all.
Things like that don't just happen, Your Honor. The lives of thousands of people in this city were affected today, and many more thousands are put in positions of grave danger. A situation like that cannot be tolerated.
Excuse me for interfering, Mr. Hammer, but outside of the temporary inconvenience, nothing serious happened.
Temporary inconvenience? My dear Mr. Kent, the explosion of those nitrate ships would hardly have been called a temporary inconvenience.
Well, hang it all, man. They didn't explode.
By a freak of chance. But what of the money that was lost in the bank robbery? And what of the subway?
Now, look here, Mr. Hammer. What do you want me to say?
I want the truth. It's my right as a councilman to be informed of all civic matters.
You are being informed, blast it. I'm telling you as much as I can.
Chief, as much as you can, eh? That means you're holding something back. Why don't you tell the whole story?
You wouldn't believe
Chief, please.
You wouldn't believe that Captain Kidd the pirate caused the breakdown in the subway. You wouldn't believe that Jesse James robbed the Metropolis Bank or that Nero started the waterfront fire.
Oh. Are you out of your mind, Mr. White?
I told you you wouldn't believe it.
I most certainly do not. And I can draw only 2 conclusions. You're either mentally sick.
What?
Too sick to continue in office.
What?
Or you're hiding something and covering it up with idiotic fairy tales.
No, just a minute.
Thank you very much for the interview, Your Honor. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been extremely...
Now, come back here.
Don't worry. I shall. You'll hear more from me later.
Now, what does that fool think he's going to do?
Plenty. Why did you have to open your mouth?
No, I couldn't help it. It just came out, that's all.
Oh.
Oh, blasted, does the whole world know I'm here?
I wonder if they...
Hello! Oh, Henderson? Well, it's about time. Anything new? Did you get a line on... What? Oh, no, not again.
What is it, Chief?
General Hospital? Oh, all right, I'll be over in 10 minutes. From now on, I'm going to handle this personally.
What now?
Those ghosts again.
What?
This time they attacked a truck. Come on, we're going over to talk to the driver. Now, just calm down, son, and tell us everything that happened.
Yes, sir. As I understand it, you and your helper were driving in from Galesburg with a load of machinery.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh. You saw someone on the road waving a flashlight, and you thought it was a motorist in trouble, so you decided to help him.
That's right.
And when you stopped, he was gone. And then what?
We saw Indians.
What?
Real honest-to-goodness Indians.
Good. This is incredible.
Go on, please.
They shot arrows at us. Phil got one in his arm, and all the time they were whooping and hollering, coming closer and closer. It was awful.
Then what happened?
They dragged me out of the cab, and that's the last I knew until I woke up lying on the road with Bill next to me. The truck was gone.
Do you remember anything else? Did you hear any of the Indians say anything?
Well, I was yelling and screaming so loud I couldn't make out much what the... Wait a minute, I do remember something now.
What was it?
Something I used to yell myself when I was in the paratroops.
Well?
It was Geronimo.
Geronimo. The name registers quickly with Kent and Mayor White. Geronimo, the infamous Indian chief, who more than a century ago waged a brutal and bloody war against the settlers of America. Another ghost risen from the dead. What is behind these strange and mysterious attacks? We'll know more in just a moment, gang, so keep listening.
Gang, ever hear the phrase skin deep? Why, sure you have. Many's the time you sized up a fellow by saying, "Oh, he's not as tough as he makes out. That big talk, it's only skin deep." Well, skin deep is just another way of saying it's not important, or it's only on the surface, doesn't show what's going on down deep. For instance, when a so-called friend of yours doesn't come through in a pinch, or turns out to be a fair-weather friend, well, it's pretty safe to say his loyalty is just skin deep. Only things that are unimportant are described that way. That's why it's so right to say that a person's color is only skin deep. It doesn't tell you a thing about what goes on beneath the surface, underneath the yellow or black or white skin. For I'm sure you all know that a person's color has nothing to do with his character or courage or friendliness. So when you know a person's color, in other words, when you know whether he has more carotene or melanin in his skin, what you know only goes skin deep. Nowadays, while you're having spring training, it's easy enough to skin your knee. Sliding into base can do it fast enough. Well, a brown boy who slides into first base and a yellow boy who slides into first and a white boy who slides, they all have the same red skinned spot on their knees when they skin. They all hurt just exactly the same, too. So remember that skin color as well as beauty is only skin deep, and that whoever judges people on the basis of outward appearances is not only unjust, but also very often sadly mistaken.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. It is late the following morning, and in the state penitentiary far from Metropolis, two men are talking in the visitor's room, holding a conversation across a table separated by a low glass panel. One man is big and heavy-set with thick lips and dark, beady eyes set in a beefy red face. He is dressed in the drab, shapeless uniform of a prisoner, and his soft, pudgy hands are clasped in front of him as his visitor speaks low and quickly.
It's really building up fast, boys. We're on the ball and rolling. The town's standing on its ear.
That's sweet music, Turkey. Tell me more.
Everything's going like clockwork, just the way you figured it. And the boys are ready to move in any time you say the word.
The city's ripe?
I told you they don't know from nothing. Everybody's stewing, raising Cain. Cops are running around in circles. Perry White's so mixed up, we don't know whether he's coming or going. And everybody's down on him like a ton of bricks. We can move in just like that.
Everything's squared away on the top?
Yep, they're playing ball the way we want.
Okay. Pass the word, Turkey. Open up. Hit Metropolis hard and make it stick.
You bet, boss.
When I get out, I want everything organized and rolling.
It will be, don't worry. When you get out, you'll be Mr. Big again.
Yeah, Mr. Big. I told them they couldn't keep Mike Hickey down.
His eyes blazing with triumph, the one-time racketeer and political boss of Metropolis, the man Perry White sent to jail, anticipates his return to power. So Mike Hickey is behind the Ghost Brigade. But how can he control their operations from prison? And how will he obtain his release? Gang, we'll know the answer to some of these questions Monday. So be sure to tune in again on Monday. Same time, same station. For Episode 5 of The Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for your Superman adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you will hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, tries to link two small pieces of wax to the strange activities of the Ghost Brigade, as the city of Metropolis becomes a hotbed of suspicion and ugly rumor.
I was stuck in the subway over 2 hours yesterday. Can't tell me it's just a breakdown. Seems to me those guys that robbed the Metropolis Bank got away awful easy. All that oil going up in smoke at the waterfront. That'll drive the price even higher. According to the Daily Blade, it's all Mayor White's fault, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they're right.
Gang, the other day I had a dream to end all dreams. In my dream, I saw a famous columnist named Sidney Snigglegrass, Jr., who was rubbing a magic lamp, just like the one Aladdin had. And as he rubbed the lamp, a gigantic genie appeared suddenly in a puff of smoke. "What is thy wish, master?" the turbaned genie asked Sidney Snigglegrass, Jr. And Snigglegrass answered, "It is my wish that all people who came to America from foreign countries, or whose parents or grandparents or great-grandparents came from foreign countries, be exiled to some distant spot. Either that or send them back to where they came from." And the genie said, "I can grant thy wish, master, but there is a law in my land which says that whosoever is sent away from his country and is exiled shall be allowed to take with him whatever he has created by his own efforts. This is, I think, a just law, and if you abide by it, I can grant your desire." "That's okay with me," Snigglegrass said. "Whatever they'll take with them will be good riddance." And the genie said, "So be it, master." Then he muttered a few magic words, and a miracle happened. That very instant, a vast fleet of barges and boats sprang up, and into them flocked millions upon millions of Americans of foreign ancestry. And they took with them what they had created in America. And Sidney Snigglegrass, watching with glee, suddenly felt his blood run cold, for a terrible sight greeted his eyes. A little later, I'll tell you what it was, so keep listening.
And now, the adventures of Superman. A clear, sun-washed morning, bright with the promise of a warm spring day, dawns over the troubled and restless city of Metropolis. The past 24 hours have seen 3 alarming events take place. The complete breakdown of the subway, the robbery of the Metropolis National Bank, and the fiery destruction of the city docks. And each apparently caused by the weird appearance of men long since dead. Men whose names have been scrawled in blood across the pages of history. Captain Kidd, the infamous pirate. Jesse James, the Wild West desperado. Nero, the emperor tyrant of Rome. Now, early the following morning, we find Kent and Mayor White arriving at the scene of a 4th appearance by a member of the mysterious Ghost Brigade. The highway where a large trailer truck was attacked by a band of Indians led by Geronimo, the Indian chief responsible for bloody massacres more than a century ago.
Here we are, Chief. Morning, officer.
Morning.
Is this the place where that truck was hijacked last night?
That's right.
Come on, Chief. Right. I'm Clark Kent. This is Mayor Perry White.
Oh, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Inspector Henderson told you we were coming, didn't he?
Yes, sir. I'm to give you any information you need.
Well, let's get on with it. I haven't even had my coffee yet.
Exactly where did the truck stop, officer?
Over here on the soft shoulder of the road. You see these tire tracks?
Uh-huh. And where were the two men, the driver and his helper?
We found them over there under that tree, out cold.
According to the driver's story, he was slugged in the cab, so he and his helper must have been carried over there.
That's right. There's a good set of footprints in the dirt near the tree.
Oh?
Whoever made them was wearing slippers or moccasins.
Uh-huh, that fits all right. Find anything else?
Well, we haven't had a chance to look around thoroughly yet. Lieutenant Mason wanted to wait until daylight. He ought to be along any time now.
You mind if we have a look around?
No, not at all.
Thanks. Come on, Chief.
Now, look here, Kent. I'd be a lot happier if you'll tell me what we're doing here.
We're looking for a piece of wax.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so before? What?
A piece of wax.
Oh, that settles it. I'm going back to Metropolis. Of all the stupid hair-brained...
Now, wait a minute, Chief. Listen to me. I found a small piece of wax, black wax, at the Metropolis Bank. I found it on the floor at the spot where Jesse James was supposed to have been standing. Then I searched the subway control office, and I found another piece of wax, red wax.
Look, what's a piece of wax got to do with robbing a bank or stealing a truck?
That I can't answer yet. But it may be a clue. In fact, I'm sure it is. Wait a minute. What's that?
Huh?
Something red in this patch of grass. Hey, we're in luck.
Wax?
Yes, sir, and a pretty big piece, too. Here, look.
Shaped like the tip of a feather.
That's right, a feather from an Indian headdress. Now we're getting somewhere.
But hang it all, I don't see how a piece of wax is going to help us.
Chief, this isn't ordinary wax. I had it analyzed at the police lab. It's the kind of wax they use in modeling. Life-size figures are made with it, like clothing store dummies.
Are you trying to tell me that a bunch of wax dummies hijacked that truck?
No, of course not. But this wax is a lead. Now we've got to trace it, find out where it comes from, if it means turning Metropolis upside down.
Turning abruptly, Kent strides back to the car, and Mayor White, shaking his head in bewilderment, follows behind him. Meanwhile, back in the city, the henchmen of Mike Hickey, former political boss of Metropolis, now in jail, swing into action, paving the way for his return. A small black coupe winds through the narrow streets of the crowded tenement district and finally stops in front of a small candy store. The two occupants of the car sit for a moment and carefully survey the scene.
You sure this is the place, Takey?
Yeah. It was a gold mine in the old days.
Don't look so hot to me.
Now, like that school down the block. All the kids come to this store after they get out.
Oh.
That makes sense now?
Yeah, sure. But supposing the guy who owns the store won't play ball.
Are you kidding? He'll play ball or else. Come on. Let me do the talking.
Morning.
Morning.
What can I do for you?
Plenty. Don't you remember me, Pop?
Why, Turkey Morgan.
That's right.
Oh, what do you want?
We're setting up in business again, just like before.
Oh, no.
You only had one pinball machine in here last time. This time you'll take two.
No, I won't. I won't have gambling machines in my store. If you try to force me, I'll go to the police.
Shut up. You got a short memory, Pop. Remember what happened last time you said no?
Why?
You remember all right. Well, the machines will be here in a couple of days. Take care of them. Come on, Joe. We got some more calls to make.
But I don't need that kind of protection, mister. Why should anyone want to damage a little tailor shop like this?
You never can tell, Mr. Stein. You're new in this neighborhood. You don't know all the angles.
Angles? I don't understand.
Well, lots of accidents could happen, Mr. Stein. So you better take out one of our policies for your own protection.
No, you're gangsters, racketeers. You can't force me to pay you money. Get out of my shop.
You don't catch on, chum.
Get out of my shop, I said.
Look out, Takey. He's gonna heave that iron at you.
Okay, Stein, we're going, but we'll be back. Because I think you're going to change your mind. Come on, Joe. And when we do come back, protection will cost you double. Cash on the line.
And so, guided by the warped, twisted brain of a man still in prison, organized crime moves into the city of Metropolis again. Will Perry White, the fighting mayor, be able to stop it? There's a surprise ahead, gang, so keep listening.
Gang, you'll remember that in my dream, Sidney Sniggelgrass Jr. rubbed his magic lamp and asked the genie to deport all Americans of foreign ancestry. The genie had agreed, but only on condition that all those people be permitted to take with them what they had created in America. And so vast fleets of boats and barges sprang up, and millions of Americans marched on board. And then Sidney Sniggelgrass became petrified with horror, for these millions of people who were taking with them what they had created in America were taking almost everything. They were taking the highways that had been hewn out of the wilderness by the Irish, Slavs, and Swedes, and the many millions of farms made fertile by the Germans and the Dutch. They were loading the billions of garments woven by the Jews and Italians, and whole cities of skyscrapers and subways were going up the gangplank, for these were the things created by the toil of the millions whose ancestors had been foreigners, Protestants, Catholics, and Jews, who had come from the four corners of the world when the call had gone out that America needed immigrants to make America great. And the whistles blew, and the boats sailed away, and there was a great and strange silence. And in that silence, nothing could be heard but the frightened whimpering of Sidney Sniggelgrass Jr., who, gazing over the barren landscape with no highways and cities and farms, cried, "Genie! Genie!" But there was no answer, for the genie, a foreigner, was on one of the giant boats, going back to Baghdad.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Returning to Metropolis, Kent and Mayor White drive straight to City Hall, where we find them now preparing for an important press conference.
Oh, Kent, I hate to think of facing those wolves out there. They'll rip me apart.
Oh, come on now, Chief. Since when are you afraid of newspaper reporters? You used to be one yourself.
That's just it. I know what I'm up against.
Just remember one thing. Don't lose your temper. Laugh off the Daily Blade's charges and point to your past record. It's absolutely spotless. You've driven crime out of Metropolis, given the people clean government. Oh, you know what to say. But not a word about the Ghost Brigade.
Well, you stick close and kill me if I go wrong.
Okay.
Hello? Who? Who? Oh, well, tell him I can't see him now. I'm doing a press conference. Councilman Hammer wants to see me.
Oh, what's he up to now?
What? Oh, all right, send him in, but I can only give him 2 minutes. It's vital, he says, and I should see him before I speak to the press.
All right, might as well find out what he's up to.
Come in.
Morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
Hello, Mr. Kent.
Good morning, sir.
Well, what is it, Hammer? I'm in a hurry.
Of course. But I thought you'd better be informed before you speak to the gentlemen of the press.
Informed? Informed about what?
They already know about your fabulous villains. Captain Kidd, Nero, and Jesse James.
What? Did you tell them?
Of course. Thought I'd save you the trouble. You weren't thinking of suppressing news, were you?
Why,
of course, Mr. White wasn't going to suppress it, Mr. Hammer, but the release of the information now may seriously hamper police investigation.
I doubt that very much.
All right, if that's all you have to tell me, you'll have to excuse me now.
I'm not quite finished, Your
Well,
Honor.
speak up. My time is valuable.
There was a special emergency meeting of the City Council this morning.
What? Well, why wasn't I informed?
It was a closed meeting, Your Honor. And it was decided by unanimous vote to conduct a full investigation of your administration.
Hammer, you're going too far.
And in addition, a special city election is to be called in the near future to elect a new mayor.
Like a thunderbolt, Councilman Hammer's words explode in White's ears, and he turns to Kent, bewildered and momentarily helpless. But the reporter is also caught off guard and can only stare wordlessly at Hammer, whose thin lips are curled in a nasty smile. Now Perry White is caught between two forces. How can he fight them both? When will this parade of disaster end? Lois Lane and young Jimmy Olsen take a hand tomorrow, gang. So don't fail to hear episode 6 of The Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your Mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you'll hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooter. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Clark Kent resumes his true identity of Superman in a valiant last-minute effort to stem the onrushing wave of crime threatening to engulf the city of Metropolis, as Lois Lane and young Jimmy Olsen make an astonishing discovery.
I think we should have told Mr. Kent we were coming here, Miss Lane.
Oh, nonsense, Jim. We figured this out by ourselves. Why should we let him in on it?
Well, I still don't think it's right.
Oh, hush. Go on now.
Hold the flashlight higher. I can't see.
There, is that better?
Uh-huh.
Oh, keepers. Jimmy, what's the matter?
Look, at the end of the hall, it's the ghost of Captain Kidd.
Hey, Rube. Ever hear that, gang? It's the shout that goes up in circuses and carnivals whenever there's trouble on the way. Like, for instance, when a fresh guy and a circus fan take a few pokes at each other on the fairway. The manager runs over to break it up. Soon the juggler starts to mix it up with the fresh guy, too. Then, suddenly, the magician spots the fight. He looks around, sees the situation brewing, and then shouts, "Hey, Rube!" That's all, brother. In a flash, the whole carnival has changed. From every booth and sideshow, the circus folk come on the run. That cry is circus lingo for trouble. Come and help. And to circus people all over America, there's nothing more important than a hey, Rube. You see, gang, circus people know what it means to work as a team. And that's how they protect themselves from danger. For example, the aerialist who flies through the air must be caught by the other half of his team or die. That's how teamwork keeps circus folks alive. And that's why when any one of the circus people gets into trouble, everybody gets into the fight. As soon as the yell, "Hey, Rube," echoes over the sawdust, there's no holding them back. All for one and one for all. Well, gang, that's how all Americans should be. When a fellow American is treated unfairly for any reason, it's not enough to let him fight it out alone. His "Hey, Rube" means trouble for everybody and should bring us all running, ready to get into the scrap and mix it up, but good. Because in unity, there's strength. United, we can't be beaten. So let's stop the petty, intolerant bickering among ourselves and work together like a smooth-running team should.
And now, the adventures of Superman. In his office at City Hall, Mayor Perry White is holding an important press conference. Standing at his desk, he faces a battery of newspaper cameramen and reporters, defending himself against the vicious charges made by the Metropolis Daily Blade. Charges that he has been dishonest.
You've all undoubtedly read the editorial on the front page of last night's Daily Blade. An editorial attacking this administration and me personally. Now, I've called this conference with you.
But even as he speaks, Mayor White seems to sense an air of disbelief in the room. His practiced eye catches a few looks of polite mockery on the faces of the reporters as they take note of his speech.
Usual.
Then, finally, he closes his remarks.
Now, I tell you that the police are working very hard. And I promise you, as soon as I receive word of any new developments, I'll pass them on to you. Now, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. What about the ghosts of those old-time bad men you've been seeing, Captain Kidd and Jesse James?
Why, I didn't exactly see them myself. It was reported to me.
How are the police going to catch them? Put salt on their tails?
Now, gentlemen, please, this is no laughing matter.
Your Honor, are you aware of the fact that Councilman Hammer has been appointed to conduct a full investigation?
Why, no, I'm not officially aware.
He's promised to turn the administration upside down.
Which will probably make him a candidate for mayor at the special election.
How are you going to stop him, Your Honor?
By digging up a few more ghosts, maybe?
This administration will be a ghost by the time Hammer gets through.
As the reporters hurl derisive questions at him, Perry White tries to answer clearly and logically, but it's hopeless, and he realizes the conference has been a dismal failure. Councilman Hammer has done his work well, and now all the other papers of Metropolis are siding with the Daily Blade. An hour later, he is slumped in his familiar battered chair at his editorial office in the Daily Planet, completely dejected. Lois Lane and Jimmy stand by anxiously.
I've never put in a half hour of such torture in my life. It was terrible. They all had their knives out, and they cut me to ribbons.
I'm sorry, Chief.
Why did they do it? They used to like you. They always treated you fair and square.
Oh, that mealy-mouthed, bucket-nosed Hammer is a good salesman, apparently. He spoke to them before I did and told them everything I was going to say. Only twisted things around to suit his purpose.
Who is this man, Hammer, Chief? I haven't heard anything about him before.
Well, he was appointed a couple of months ago to fill John Miles's place.
Oh. Well, how are you going to fight him?
Well, there's only one way I can fight him, Lois. By breaking this up, this ghost brigade.
No leads on that yet, Chief?
No, Henderson and the police report no progress, but Kent's working on an angle.
Clark?
Gosh, what's the angle?
He found some wax at the Metropolis Bank after it was held up. And he found another piece in the subway traffic control office after the system broke down.
What does he expect to prove with pieces of wax? He's way off base.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then we found another piece of wax this morning at the spot where that truck was hijacked last night.
No kidding.
It was red and shaped like the tip of a feather.
And lizards. Indians. Just like the driver said.
Oh, rubbish, Jim. Indians don't wear wax feathers.
Well, that's the puzzling part of it, Lois. Kent's trying to find out where the wax came from. It's not the usual kind. The police laboratory analyzed it and reported that it's the stuff that's used in making life-size figures, like clothing dummies.
Wax figures, Life-size figures. I wonder.
You wonder what?
Huh? Oh, nothing, Chief, nothing. Come on, Jim.
Where to?
Don't ask questions, just come with me.
Now, wait a minute. Where do you think you're going?
To do Clark Kent's job for him. I know where those pieces of wax come from.
Meanwhile, across town, Superman, still in his guise of Clark Kent, has just made the 10th stop in a long and weary search for the telltale wax and received the 10th discouraging reply.
Looks as if you're chasing up a blind alley, Kent, old boy. 10 misses so far and a promise of more to come. Well, I'll have to keep on with it, I guess. Let's see who's next on the list. Great Scott, what was that?
Startled, Kent looks up the street in time to see a puff of smoke billow out of a small tailor shop, spraying broken bits of glass and splintered wood out across the sidewalk. As people on the street quickly converge on the wrecked store, Kent notices a small coupe parked across the street suddenly start up and roar away.
That looks like trouble. Man-made. Here, this doorway's pretty deep. Nobody's paying attention, so off with these clothes. And we'll let Superman find out what's going on. There we are. Up, and away!
In one bound, Superman reaches the middle of the street and, catching a fleeting glimpse of the coupe rounding a turn 2 blocks away, streaks after it like the wind. As he rockets past the wrecked tailor shop, he glances inside and with his X-ray vision sees something that makes him turn sharply in midair.
Oh, great Scott, that old man. He's pinned to the floor by that crossbeam. Those people will never be able to lift it in time. Down to him. Down! There, that'll do it. Now let's see how badly he's hurt. Somebody call an ambulance.
All right, I'll do it. They can't force me to.
Easy now, easy. Don't talk.
Gangsters, racketeers.
Hey,
What's going on here? What happened?
Who are you?
Miller of the Daily Blade. I was just passing by and I saw the crowd.
Get them. Stop them. They're criminals.
What's he talking about? What criminals, Pop?
Leave him alone. He's too weak to talk.
Gangsters wanted me to buy protection. They threw a bomb in my store.
A bomb? Oh, murder. The old protection racket.
Now, wait a minute.
Oh, Mayor White thought he cleaned up this town, did he? Wait till my paper gets a hold of this.
As the Blade reporter hurries out of the bomb-wrecked tailor shop, Superman, holding the elderly tailor gently, feels a cold chill run up and down his spine. This is a damaging blow to Perry White's reputation, so far his only defense against his critics. And Superman has waited too long. The men who committed this outrage are now too far away for successful pursuit. We'll bring you the strange and mysterious climax of today's episode in just a moment. So keep listening.
Gang, it was just 173 years ago that Paul Revere made his famous midnight ride to warn the American Minutemen that the British were coming. Well, there was another man like Paul Revere. He was a man named Francis Salvador, and he warned the southern colonists that the Cherokees were coming. It happened on July 1st, 1776. Francis Salvador was on his plantation when the terrible news reached him that the Cherokees had swooped down on the frontier villages and farms. He was determined to get word to the garrison stationed 30 miles away and to warn the isolated colonists. Although he knew that to do this meant riding directly through the Indians' line of march, that didn't stop him. The famous ride of Francis Salvador will always be remembered wherever men of Carolina meet. For by alerting the garrison and the frontiersmen, he saved the colony, but paid the supreme price. For when the fighting was done and the victory gained, the Americans found Salvador lying in the bushes. He had been scalped. And as he lay dying,
he whispered to his sorrowing friends that they must always remember freedom was won by men of every race and religion. Protestants and Catholics and Jews, like Salvador, who fought together for freedom. For that reason, he gasped, all Americans must live together in freedom. And don't you ever forget that, gang.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Pursuing a lead of her own, Lois Lane, accompanied by Jimmy Olsen, has reached the Metropolis Amusement Park, still closed and boarded up. Finding an open gate, they make their way through the deserted grounds to a flimsy two-story structure with a sign painted across the front of it. A sign that reads, Wax Museum.
You think this is where those pieces of wax came from, Miss Lane?
I wouldn't be one bit surprised, Jim. Let's try to get inside.
You think we ought to? By ourselves?
Well, nobody's going to hurt us. Try the door.
It's locked.
I've got a skeleton key. Here.
I don't like the idea of this.
Oh, nonsense. Use the key. We're not going to hurt anything inside.
Did you bring a flashlight?
Yes. It's fine. Now close the door behind you.
Maybe we better leave it open.
No, close it. Now, Jim, walk straight ahead.
Hold the light higher.
There. Is that better?
Yep. Jeepers.
Jimmy, what's the matter?
Look. Down there. Captain Kidd.
What? Oh, you gave me a fright. It's only a wax model. Come on, let's look at him.
Gosh, sure looks real.
There's a model of Nero, the Roman emperor.
Uh-huh. And here's Jesse James.
And this Indian next to Captain Kidd, he must be Geronimo.
Jeepers. All the ghosts that have been showing up around town.
Don't be silly. These are just wax statues.
Yeah, but there's still something funny about it.
Jimmy.
Huh? What's the matter?
The Indian's headdress. One of the feathers is broken off.
Golly. And Mr. Kent found the wax tip.
And here, there's a piece broken off Captain Kidd's sash.
Look at Jesse James. A piece of his black boot is gone.
Jimmy.
Then it's true. These wax people can move. They must...
The flashlight flickers wildly over the wax images. As Lois Lane turns pale, Jimmy catches his breath as he notices a peculiar gleam of evil shining out of the eyes of that bloodthirsty snake, Captain Kidd. Something is wrong. Wax statues can't come to life, or can they? Gang, be sure to listen tomorrow, same time, same station. There's action and plenty of mystery in Chapter 7 of The Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your Mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you'll hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, pursues a seemingly futile investigation of the mysterious pieces of wax he hopes will enable him to track down the Ghost Brigade, as the editor of the Daily Blade receives fresh ammunition for his paper's vicious attack on Mayor Perry White.
It was just one of those lucky breaks, boss. I passed the tailor shop just after it blew up, and when I walked in, I saw the old codger who owned it lying on the floor, hurt pretty bad. But he kept moaning about protection and gangsters and a bomb.
Oh, somebody trying to stir up the old protection racket again, huh?
Yeah, but do you get the angle, boss? Perry White's been screaming that he cleaned up the city, that he broke up all the rackets.
Of course, it's perfect.
White's over a barrel now. This'll roll that barrel right out of City Hall. So he said, so she said, so they said, so we said. Yada-da, yada-da, yada. Some people keep talking. They never stop talking. People like that should be shot. The things that they say never come to an end. They don't stop for breath or for thought. They repeat just like records again and again the tidbits of gossip they've caught. They never will think, is it true what I say? Is it something I ought to repeat? Instead, they'll just giggle and whisper to you, have you heard Johnny Jones is a cheat? Well, these jerks pick up everything nasty they hear. They never say somebody's swell. But, brother, if once you do something wrong, you can bang on it. These guys will tell. They came up with some of the strangest remarks. They must have the brains of a pigeon. You should hear the ridiculous things that they say about other folks' race or religion. We know that the way that we worship our God doesn't make any difference down deep, that a regular Joe is a regular Joe, and a creep, well, he's still just a creep. But facts never stop dopes from babbling on. The truth might not have as much zip. They'd much rather sell you some nice, juicy lies. Stay away from this bunch. Take our tip. For you can be sure as can possibly be that your name is somewhere on their list, that they have gossip to tell about you. There's no chance you're going to be missed. So never be sucker enough to believe the gossip of yada-yada-yadas. They never know anything you'll want to hear, and nothing they say really matters.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Yesterday, after a disastrous press conference where reporters from all metropolis newspapers hooted down his defense against the Daily Blade's editorial attack and laughed at his story of the mysterious Ghost Brigade, Mayor Perry White became fully aware of the danger he and his administration faced when he learned that the city council had declared a special election in the near future to elect a new mayor. On the other hand, Metropolis had suddenly become the scene of a strange series of disasters, and at each successive calamity, a weird ghost-like visitor out of the past appeared. Captain Kidd, Nero, Jesse James, and Geronimo, infamous members of the Ghost Brigade. In his guise of Clark Kent, mild-mannered newspaper reporter, Superman immediately plunged into the task of tracking down the Ghost Brigade. His only clue, the strange pieces of wax found at the scene of each disaster, seeming to lead nowhere. But Lois Lane and young Jimmy Olsen seem to have discovered where they lead. To a dingy two-story frame building housing the Wax Museum at the Metropolis Amusement Park, where we join them now, the beam of their flashlight casting weird shadows around the wax statues posed in amazingly lifelike attitudes. Finally, they reach one room containing replicas of infamous men and women of history.
Now, let's see, Jim. Clark said he found pieces of wax wherever anything happened, and these figures are made of wax.
Oh, golly.
What is it, Jim?
Hold your flashlight higher, Miss Lane. Point it at the top of the Indian's head. Right there, see?
Good heavens. One of the feathers is broken.
Yeah, a red feather. The tip is gone. And Mr. Kent found the tip of a feather out on the road where that truck was hijacked by Indians.
Let's check the others.
Miss Lane, I think we better get out of here.
Nonsense. There's nothing to be scared of. Wax statues can't come to life, you know.
I wish I was as sure of that as you are.
Here, silly. Feel the statue. Go on, touch it. Go on, Jim. It won't bite you.
All right. Stop pushing me.
Well, there. Now, how can you possibly believe a cold, hard lump of wax can move or come to life?
I don't believe it, Miss Lane, but I don't know what else to believe either.
Come on. Let's look around, Jim. Maybe we'll turn something
Hey,
out.
Don't go away with that light.
Oh, Jimmy, you're being absolutely childish. The statues won't hurt you, and there's nobody else in the building.
Well, I'm not taking any chances.
But as Lois and Jimmy slowly make their way through the dank, dismal rooms, two shadowy figures step out of the concealment of a doorway and stand near one of the wax statues, watching them.
What do you think, Peggy?
I don't know. I've seen the dame someplace before.
What are they doing here?
Checking up, didn't you hear him?
I think we better do something about it, huh?
Lane. Lois Lane. Why, she's a reporter on Perry White's Rag the Planet. I remember her all right. She and that guy Kent did a lot to send the boss up the river.
Uh-oh. And maybe she's wise.
She couldn't be. But remind me to tell the boss. He may want to do something about it.
And meanwhile, downtown in Perry White's office at City Hall, Clark Kent is reporting what occurred at the wrecked tailor shop, destroyed by a gangster's bomb.
It was pathetic, Chief. Poor old man had apparently refused to pay those thugs protection money, so they tossed a bomb into his shop.
Same old racket, eh?
Yes, but that isn't the worst of it. By some freak of bad luck, a reporter from the Daily Blade happened to be passing by. He heard the old man muttering about it in his delirium, and... well, you can guess the rest.
Sure. It'll be spread all over the next edition of the Blade.
Right.
I can see the headlines now. Crime rampant in Metropolis as Mayor White claims rackets are broken.
Wait till Councilman Hammer gets hold of it. It's going to be a perfect springboard for his investigation.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it now. Just hope and pray that Inspector Henderson and the police uncover something. Or maybe Lois and Jimmy are on the right track.
Lois and Jimmy?
Yes, they've gone to the amusement park.
The amusement park? Well, it hasn't opened yet.
I know, but Lois has an idea that that's where those pieces of wax came from.
But what in... the wax museum at the amusement park, of course. See you later, Chief.
Hey, wait a minute. Where are you going?
Find Lois and Jim before they get into trouble.
How long are we going to hang around in here, Miss Lane? This joint is giving me the creeps.
I'm looking for clues, Jim.
What clues?
Well, I don't know. Anything.
Hey, what's that?
Oh, Jimmy, stop imagining things.
I tell you, I heard something.
Lois! Jimmy!
Oh, my gosh.
Where are you?
Why, that's Clark's voice.
Mr. Kent? Oh, boy, what a relief.
Now, why did he have to come here?
Jim!
Oh.
Lois, answer me. Where are you?
Over here, Mr. Kent.
Where?
Oh, thank goodness. You all right?
Of course we're all right. What are you doing here anyway?
Well, the chief told me you came up here, and I was worried.
That I beat you out of a story?
Well, no. No, I just didn't want you to get into any trouble, that's all. Well, this is quite a layout. Captain Kidd, Nero.
Look, Mr. Kent, look what we found.
What?
Here, look at Geronimo and Jesse James.
We found where those pieces of wax came from, Smarty, and you were running all over town.
Oh, very interesting.
It's awful spooky, if you ask me.
Are there pieces missing from all of them?
That's right, matching the three you found.
Oh? Say, what happened here?
Huh?
One statue is missing.
Where?
Here. This pedestal is empty.
What? Jeepers, I didn't see that before.
Of course not. The statue was there before.
You sure, Lois?
Well, I'm positive.
Whose statue is it, Mr. Kent?
Oh, I don't know.
Isn't there a sign or a label?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, gosh. Then that means one of the ghosts is loose in the city.
His eyes wide with horror, Jimmy stares at the empty pedestal, while Lois and Kent frown their worry and bewilderment. Whose statue is missing? We'll know more in just a moment, gang, so keep listening.
Gang, not so long ago, the American National Theater Association, called ANTA for short, gave a giant benefit show in Madison Square Garden to raise funds for its organization. Broadway's greatest actors and actresses pitched in to help the show make a success. Actors like Raymond Massey, Judith Anderson, and Katharine Cornell took part. It was undeniably one of the greatest evenings the theater has ever known. Well, in the middle of the show, as one scene ended, a young man came on from the wings and started to sweep the stage clean of the dust and dirt that had gathered there. It was hard to make out just who he was, but he certainly looked familiar. As he busily swept the stage, a ripple of laughter ran through the audience. For soon they were roaring and heartily applauding the young man who was sweeping the stage, for they had recognized him as the famous actor John Garfield. Well, gang, that's an example of how truly top-notch theater people always act. When there's a job to be done, they pitch in and do it. And it doesn't matter how petty the job may be. That's why when Garfield saw the stage was dirty, he swept it. Simple. He knew, and all good show people know, that every job is important if you want your show to be a success. Everybody's got to do his share and maybe a little extra, too. Well, boys and girls, take a tip from show people. Don't ever shirk a job because it's not glamorous or seems to you to be unimportant. It is important. What's more, don't ever look down your nose at people who do these essential little jobs. For you'll soon find out that the fellows who are the most respected in their fields know how to sweep the stage as well as how to win Academy Awards.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. It's the dinner hour in Metropolis. Hundreds of restaurants and cafeterias in the city are crowded with people. In one popular restaurant, an elderly couple are just finishing their dessert when suddenly the man trembles violently and drops his spoon.
Oh, why, Henry! Henry, what is it? You're pale as a ghost.
I don't know, Mother. I feel sick.
Oh, my dear. Waiter! Waiter!
But then across the large dining room, another patron suddenly turns white, clutching at his stomach, crumples over the table. The waiter, a tray piled high with dishes, stops in mid-stride, sways, and keels over in a dead faint. The entire dining room becomes a scene of pandemonium.
Kent, this is terrible. The whole restaurant full of people, and more than half of them are suddenly deathly ill.
You better get the Commissioner of Health on the job.
Oh, I've already called him, but I don't think he'll find anything wrong with the restaurant. It's one of the best places in town. Has a spotless reputation.
Well, then what in
Well,
heaven?
Henderson said that one of the cooks saw a woman in the kitchen just before 6. A woman dressed in a strange costume.
Great Scott, I wonder... Look, I'll call you later, Chief.
Hey, what's the idea? Well, what are you up to now?
I'm going to check on a wax statue. See you later. See now, the statues Lois and Jim found were in this room. Oh, yes. There's Captain Kidd and Jesse James and... Great Scott!
Laying his flashlight around the room, Kent suddenly stops as the beam illuminates a pedestal that not 3 hours before had been empty. Now it holds the statue of a woman dressed in a billowing, full-skirted costume of the 15th century, and a small white placard at her feet identifies her as...
Lucretia Borgia.
Lucretia Borgia, the notorious Italian noblewoman of the 15th century, who cold-bloodedly eliminated her enemies by poison. The Ghost Brigade has struck again. Gang, there's a thrill a minute in tomorrow's episode, so don't miss it. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, for Chapter 8 of The Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you will hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, continues his desperate effort to solve the mystery of the Ghost Brigade, wraith-like creatures out of the dim and distant past, who strike again and again, causing fear and panic to sweep the city of Metropolis.
I thought Mayor White was pulling a fast one, blaming everything on ghosts. But by gosh, it's true.
Yeah, well, why don't the mayor do something about it?
He'd better, or by golly, we'll get a new mayor.
322 years ago, gang, a fellow named Peter Minuit was doing some trading with the American Indians. He was swapping beads for corn and money for blankets when the Indians, a little short on cash, offered to throw an island of theirs called Manhattan into the deal in return for $24. Peter Minuit consulted with his friends to make sure he wasn't overpaying and finally agreed to buy Manhattan. But he never dreamt that the property, the little island, would someday grow into one of the greatest cities in the world, with monumental skyscrapers, subways, and stores that cover the once grassy meadows and green hills, and that the empty fields would one day house millions of people and become headquarters for the United Nations. How could he know that what he had bought for $24 would develop into the tremendous metropolis of New York City, and that it would be the result of many people working side by side, all kinds of people? Yes, New York City, as we know it today, is the result of the work of the Dutch, who first settled here, of the English and French, who came not much later, of the Protestants, Catholics, and Jews, who had fled to the New World to escape religious persecution. It was the work of the African Negroes, who came in slavery, but remained to build freedom. Millions and millions of people from the four corners of the world, of all colors and religions and nationalities,
who came to Peter Minuit's little island. They gave it their labor, their ideas, and their devotion. And they created a miracle. Yes, gang, all those people working together transformed a grassy little island into New York City, capital of the world.
And now, the adventures of Superman. For almost a week now, the city of Metropolis has seemingly been haunted by the ghosts of villains long dead. First, the bloodthirsty pirate Captain Kidd. Then Nero, the emperor tyrant of ancient Rome. Then Geronimo, the infamous Indian chief. And now, last but not least, Lucrezia Borgia, the Italian noblewoman of the 15th century, whose specialty was murder by poison. And with each mysterious appearance of these villains risen from the dead, a catastrophe has struck Metropolis. But Superman now has a clue to the origin of the Ghost Brigade. We find him in his guise of Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter, at the Wax Museum on the grounds of the deserted Metropolis Amusement Park. The two-story frame structure is dark and lonely, and as Kent moves silently through the dusty rooms filled with wax statues of famous people posed in amazingly lifelike attitudes, he pauses at a pedestal that had been empty at his previous visit. Now it is reoccupied by the wax figure of a woman who left her deadly mark on the pages of history, Lucrezia Borgia, the poison murderess.
So, you're back, eh? Back on your pedestal. Earlier today, 50 people in a restaurant took sick because of poisoned food, and you were seen wandering around the kitchen. But that's impossible. You're made of wax. You don't live and breathe. What?
That's what you think.
Who said that?
I did. And I know.
Oh, I didn't see you behind me.
Kind of sneaked up on you, didn't I?
Well, yes, you did. Who are you?
Never mind who I am. Who are you? And what are you doing here?
I'm a newspaper reporter. You must be the watchman.
Yes, sir. I take care of all these folks up here. Take care of them real good, I do.
Sure you do. They look fine. You know, I'll wager you could help me. As I said, I'm a newspaper reporter. I'm looking for a story.
Oh, a story, eh?
Uh-huh.
A story in the papers?
That's right. We might even use your picture.
My picture, eh?
Uh-huh. You see, what I want for my story is some information about these wax statues. I'd like to find...
Just a minute there, son. If you want to write a good story, don't you call them statues.
What?
They're folks, same as you and me. Man who made them breathe life into him.
Oh, you're not serious.
Now, you listen. Many's the night I've heard them talking, right here in this room.
You have?
Yes. And I heard them get off these here stands, walk clear out of the building.
Well, how could they? The door was locked, wasn't it?
Through locks and doors, stop posts.
Oh. Well, now, tell me, did you ever come up here when they were talking or moving around?
Yep. Once I come up to find Captain Kidd had gone away. And then there was Jesse James. They go away, but they always come back.
Did you ever actually see them move?
Last night it was. Everything was quiet. And all of a sudden, I heard one of them moving. I ducked out into the hall real quiet. And I saw this one here.
The Indian? Geronimo?
Yep. Saw him walk out. And then this morning, it was back again. You don't believe me, huh? Well, all I can tell you is that I've been living with these folks 10 years. And I know them better than anyone. I say they ain't just wax statues. I say they got life in them.
Golly, it was enough to make your flesh crawl, Chief. Standing there in that dim, musty room surrounded by wax figures and that poor, cackling old man telling me they had life in them.
Well, maybe they have. I'm ready to believe anything now. Oh, blast that phone. It's been ringing all day. Yes, now what? Who? No, I can't see him. I'm busy. Tell him I'm tied up
If it's Councilman Hammer, you'd better see him, Chief.
Why?
Be smart, Chief.
Huh? Oh, all right. All right, send him in. Politics. Why did I ever get into it? Why?
Now, calm down. Don't let Hammer know you're on edge.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Your Honor.
No, come in. Close the door.
Thank you. As I said, Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have some important matters to discuss with you privately, if Mr. Kent doesn't mind.
Oh, not at all. See you later, Chief.
Stay right where you are, Kent.
What?
In case you don't know it, Hammer, Mr. Kent is not only one of my reporters, but a close personal friend. Anything you have to say to me can be said in front of him.
Very well, sir. Then I shall proceed.
Go on. I'm listening.
Your Honor, as you are well aware, For almost a week now, the city of Metropolis has been subjected to a reign of terror.
Oh, now that's a little strong, don't you think, Mr. Hammer? There have been a few unfortunate accidents, but that's all.
Oh, that's all, is it? You call ghosts haunting the city an accident? You call...
Just a moment.
What about the invasion of Metropolis by gangsters and racketeers? The tailor shop that was blown up this morning because the proprietor refused to pay for protection. Do you call that an accident? You who supposedly drove the rackets out of the city?
I did drive them out. I put my piggy behind bars. I cleaned up Metropolis from stem to stern.
Unfortunately, sir, it's dirty again. Extremely dirty. And I've come to tell you, as chairman of the Special Investigating Committee of the City Council, I am about to recommend that you be impeached, removed from office, and a new mayor elected, unless...
Why, you low
Just
down...
a minute, Chief, just a minute. Unless what, Mr. Hammer?
Unless Mr. White agrees to appoint me his deputy mayor with full powers to act in the event, let us say, he should leave the city for a vacation.
What?
If I am so appointed, I will report to the city council that my investigation has completely exonerated his mayor.
Well, look here, Hammer. What are you trying to do? Make a deal with me?
I suppose you might call it that?
Well, do you know what I call it? The slimiest piece of political skullduggery I've ever heard of. And unless you'd like your nose pushed into the back of your head, I'd advise you to get out of this office and stay out.
Don't you lay a hand on me. Don't you dare.
Get out, I said. Get out.
I'm getting out, but only temporarily. I'll be back, Mr. White, as the new mayor of Metropolis. As for you, you cooked your goose. You're through. You're finished. You're dead.
No, Mr. White, you're not finished. Not by a long shot. The real battle hasn't even begun. Don't miss the climax of today's episode for a new twist in the mystery of the Ghost Brigade. Keep listening.
Gang, 25 years ago, in 1923, the first non-stop transcontinental flight was made. To Americans, that flight was something tremendous, almost unreal. Imagine flying across America in only 27 hours. That was speed, fellas. That was traveling. Well, non-stop transcontinental flights are old hats today, but the new transcontinental speed record isn't. 2 years ago, Colonel W.H. Council flew a P-80 jet-propelled monoplane from New York to Los Angeles in 4 hours, 13 minutes, and 25 seconds at the fantastic speed of 580 miles an hour. Can you imagine that? Almost the same course that it took 27 hours to fly in 1923 can be flown in 4 hours today. Well, gang, there's no two ways about it. The world has shrunk since 1923. That's why people say we're all living in each other's backyards. From China, France, India, Palestine, it's all just a hop, skip, and jump right to your door. Grab a plane and you're there in no time. Now, we all know that to keep peace in our own backyard, we've got to stay in good terms with our neighbors. Who likes angry hollering over the fence or bike tires without air in them? Nobody. And that's what happens when neighbors quarrel. Well, the same thing goes on internationally, too. Every country is our next-door neighbor now, and if we want to keep peace, we've got to stay in good terms with them all. Neighbors can be awful pains in the neck if they're always squabbling, but swell fun if they're real friends. So let's do all we can to preserve peace among the peoples of the world.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. It is early the following morning, and in the state penitentiary, Mike Hickey, former racketeer and political boss of Metropolis, sent to jail by Perry White, receives a familiar visitor, his henchman, Turkey Morgan. There is a self-satisfied smirk on Hickey's bloated face, and his beady eyes gleam triumphantly as Turkey whispers across the table separating them.
Everything's working out fine, boss. We started moving in yesterday, and we're getting results already.
Good. What about Perry White?
He's doing tailspins. He came out in the paper saying he cleaned up the city. And right after that, we started cutting up a few touches. He must be purple by now.
Yes. Wish I could see it.
You will, boss.
How about the other angles?
Our pals, the ghosts. They're doing fine. Except,
Except what?
Well, yesterday we saw that dame from the Daily Planet, the reporter, in the Wax Museum.
Dame reporter? You mean Lois Lane?
Yeah. There was a young squirt with her. They were snooping around. But like I said, I don't know how close they are.
If they were in the Wax Museum, they're too close, Turkey. Get rid of them.
For keeps?
Yes, for keeps. That Lane girl helped send me up here. She and that other reporter, Kent. Now, I
I want you to get them both if you can. Get them and shut them up for good.
Mike Hickey has issued a deadly order. Turkey Morgan nods obediently. Even in prison behind bars, Hickey is a power to be feared. And now his murderous venom is aimed at Lois and Jimmy. Gang, tomorrow Superman finds himself in an utterly hopeless position. So don't miss it. Be sure to listen, same time, same station, for Episode 9 of The Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you will hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman prepares for a final showdown with the mysterious Ghost Brigade and meets one of its villainous members face to face. In his guise of Clark Kent, he informs Perry White.
Now, look, I'm all through fooling around, Chief. I'm convinced the whole business is a well-organized attempt to discredit you and get you out of office. The activities of that Ghost Brigade, Councilman Hammer's investigation, and the return of racketeering to this city are all tied in somehow. It's just a vicious smear campaign, and there's only one way to stop it. I know that way, and I'm going to do it.
Gang, all of us want to be popular with our friends. We want to be looked up to and admired. That's only natural. But it takes certain special qualities to make a person popular. You have to have the knack of getting along with all kinds of people. It doesn't take any magic formula to do that. It takes only a real interest in other boys and girls. When you say, "Hi, kid, what's new?" show that you really want to know what's new. Don't just say an empty phrase. Then listen carefully to what your friend has to tell you. Show that you really care about what's been happening to him. And here's another tip. You'll find that a popular boy or girl is never a fair-weather friend. He's never buddy-buddy with you when things are going your way, but out of sight when you're in a jam. He's always a good pal, a real friend. He's around when you need him, when the going gets tough, and he'll stick by you through thick and thin. Believe me, gang, true friends aren't soon forgotten. And finally, remember that popular boys and girls pick their close friends wisely. Their best pals are only the finest kids in the neighborhood. That's a proof that their friendship stands for something and isn't given lightly. They're on good terms with everyone, but their real buddies are tried and true boys and girls who rate with them because they are regular guys. Their skin color or religion or who their parents may be never enters into the question of friendship. Well, gang, those are a few suggestions for you to mull over in your mind. It's not some magic formula that gives a boy or girl lots of friends. It's just being a good friend in return.
And now, The Adventures of Superman. The mysterious appearances of villains long dead. The bloodthirsty pirate Captain Kidd. The western desperado Jesse James. Nero, Emperor Tyrant of Rome, and others have thrown the city of Metropolis into a state of panic. Added to that, racketeers have once more invaded the city, and an attempt is being made to remove Perry White from the office of mayor. But now Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, is determined to put an end to the reign of terror. Certain that the 3 odd pieces of wax he found at the scenes of the catastrophes created by the ghostly villains will lead him to whoever is responsible, he is making his 3rd visit to the Wax Museum on the deserted grounds of the Metropolis Amusement Park. But this time he is not alone. A strange, elf-like little man with a carefully trimmed Van Dyke beard and bright, twinkling eyes is with him.
Are these the wax figures you made for the museum, Mr. Brabant?
It is hard to tell in such bad light, Monsieur Kent.
I'm sorry, but the power's been shut off.
Well, let me see now. Oui. This one of a certainty I made.
That's Jesse James, the old-time Western bandit.
So I believe.
All right, now tell me. This piece of wax I hold here in my hand, would you say it broke off the wax boot of the Jesse James figure?
May I have this small piece, monsieur?
Oh, yes, of course.
Merci. Now we shall make the comparison. We of a certainty. It is the same wax, and it is a perfect fit.
Fine. Now let's check another one. I think Captain Kidd is... Great Scott!
Something is wrong, monsieur?
That empty pedestal. There's no wax figure on it.
But why do you excite yourself so, Monsieur Kent? A wax figure is missing from the pedestal. It is not a catastrophe.
It might very well be a catastrophe. I'm afraid I'll have to leave you, Mr. Brabant. There's something important I must do.
But, monsieur, you asked me to come here with you.
Yes, I know, but that empty pedestal has me worried. That's been the pattern for the past week, you see. A wax figure disappears from this museum, and a few hours later, something terrible happens.
But, monsieur, surely these things cannot be blamed on a wax figure.
I don't know what to blame them on. All I can tell you is that they happened. I've got to go now. I'll call you at your shop.
One moment, monsieur. Tell me just this.
Yes?
Why are you so concerned about the figure that is missing now?
I'll tell you why. Because it's the figure of one of the most dangerous murderers of history. A man who roamed the streets of London almost a century ago and took the lives of 100 innocent people. It's the wax figure of Jack the Ripper.
Oh, you're crazy, Kent. You're a stark raving man.
Now, look, Inspector, you've got to believe me. It's been the pattern all along. And now Jack the Ripper is loose on the streets of Metropolis.
And what do you want me to do?
Send out a general alarm. Alert all patrol cars. Get every man on the force out on the street.
Yeah? What are they supposed to look for? A wax dummy?
Well, no.
Oh, can I have time for gags?
Listen, this isn't a gag, believe me.
No, then what is it? For a week I've been chasing ghosts, and now you want me to chase a wax dummy.
The ghost is the dummy.
Oh, stop it.
Now, look,
Inspector. Please, Kent, will you leave me alone? I haven't slept for a week. I'm a wreck.
You won't sleep for a lot of weeks if any blood is spilled. It's getting dark, and he works in darkness.
Who does?
Jack the Ripper.
Are you kidding? He's been dead for 100 years.
I know, but he'll be on the streets of Metropolis tonight. Remember, Inspector, I warned you.
It's ridiculous, Clark. It's absolutely ridiculous.
All right, now, Lois, listen to me. Just listen to me. That's all I ask.
All right. Go ahead.
Right from the beginning. The pattern has been exactly the same. Well, every time one of the so-called ghosts appeared, either in the subway or on the city dock or in that restaurant, the wax figure of that particular person was missing from the museum.
Who told you that?
The watchman at the museum.
Now, wait a minute. Now, you yourself said that he was a little wacky.
I didn't say wacky. I said queer. What's that got to do with it anyway? He saw the figures walk out.
He saw the wax figures walk out?
Yes.
And you believe that?
Look, Lois, all I know
all
is...
I know is I'm going home, and I suggest that you take a nice cold shower and go to bed.
Where's the chief?
He's at City Hall. Now, look, don't bother him with this crazy idea of yours, Clark. He's got enough trouble.
Well, he'll have more trouble before the night's over. Take my word for it. I'm going over to see him. Maybe he'll listen.
Do you honestly believe, Kent, that a wax dummy of Jack the Ripper is walking the streets of Metropolis?
No, of course not, Chief. Why can't I make it clear to you and Lois and Henderson that I don't believe in ghosts, and I don't believe wax figures can get up and walk? All I'm talking about is the pattern, What pattern? The pattern of everything that's happened. Oh, now look, Chief. When the so-called ghost of Captain Kidd appeared in the subway, his wax figure was missing from its pedestal at the museum. When Nero appeared at the oil fire, his figure was missing. The same with Jesse James, Geronimo, and Lucretia Borgia. Now, is that clear?
Don't treat me like a child, Kent. I can understand English.
All right. Then get this. The pattern of all these accidents have been the same. A wax figure is missing from the museum, and the next thing we know, a catastrophe occurs. And each catastrophe has something to do with the long-dead villain or villainess whose wax figure is missing. Do you follow me?
Yes. Yes, I do.
All right.
And now the wax figure of Jack the Ripper is... Oh, no. No, Kent. Oh, nothing like that can happen in this day and age. The police...
Henderson laughed at me. The police aren't taking any precautions. It's dark now, and somewhere on the streets of Metropolis, a cloaked figure is about to stalk his human prey.
Don't say things like that. Don't I have enough trouble without you?
I'll take it.
No, it's probably for me.
All right.
Perry White speaking. Huh? Oh, it's you, Henderson. Now, look. Kent's here in my office, and he's been telling me that... What? Say that again. Good heavens.
What is it, Chief?
Kent, you were right.
You mean
Jack the Ripper is loose on the streets of Metropolis.
We'll be back in a moment for the smashing surprise climax of today's episode. So keep listening.
Gang, this Sunday is a red letter day. Comes May 16th, Americans all over the country will tip their hats and say, howdy, folks, to the 100,000 new Americans who have just become citizens this year. What's more, they're going to welcome 2 million more Americans into their ranks as voters. For 2 million young fellows and girls are 21 this year and able to vote for the first time in these coming November elections. Yes, May 16th will be a gala holiday. It's I Am an American Day. There'll be all kinds of celebrations. In New York, for instance, hundreds of thousands of spectators, including some 30,000 new Americans, will jam Central Park Mall. Some of our greatest entertainers will be there to help whoop it up. Jane Froman, Alfred Drake, and Duke Ellington will be among them. And that's how it'll be from coast to coast this Sunday. We old Americans will be saying welcome to the many new Americans who have come to our land in search of freedom. Freedom to speak their minds without fear, to worship God as they please, to work for an honest living, and get a good education. These new citizens will give their strength and their courage and their talents to America and help make our country a stronger and happier place in which to live. Just like the newcomers from every land under the sun who helped to build America and make her strong. We're lucky to have these new citizens, just as we're lucky to have our 21-year-old new voters who take their places as full-fledged citizens of this I Am an American Day. So turn out, join your hometown celebration. Show the world that you are proud to be able to say, I am an American.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman.
Quick, Chief. What did Henderson say? Oh, Kent, it's terrible. Why didn't he listen to you?
Never mind that now. What did he say?
A policeman spotted a man in a long, dark cloak and a wide-brimmed black hat sneaking down 9th Street in the shadow of a building. The cop approached him and asked him what he was doing.
Yes?
The man in the cloak tried to get away, but the cop grabbed him and told him he was under arrest. That's when it happened.
What happened?
The man pulled a long knife and said...
Yes?
He said, nobody arrest Jack the Ripper. Then he slashed at the cop with the knife. Fortunately, the cop ducked and the knife missed him. But he lost his balance and fell, and by the time he got to his feet, the man in the cloak was gone.
Well, that does it. There's only one thing to do now, and even that may be too late.
What, Kent? What? What can we do?
You pray and keep your fingers crossed. I'm going out to find Jack the Ripper.
Leaving City Hall, Clark Kent ducks into a dark alley, and in a moment his somber gray business suit has given way to the brilliant blue and red costume of Superman.
I don't see how I can possibly cover the whole city street by street in time to catch him before he strikes. But I'm going to try. Up, up, and away!
Rocketing up into the now darkened heavens, the fabulous Man of Steel, his red cape streaming in the wind, levels off 500 feet above the city.
Thousands of streets and each one a possibility. This is a job that may even be too much for Superman. Away!
Meanwhile, in the north section of the city, Lois Lane is on her way home from the office. Turning a corner, she enters the street at the end of which is located her apartment building. For some strange reason, the street is dark. The street lights are out. Unconsciously, she quickens her step and pulls her coat tighter around her as though to ward off the unusual darkness. Then, suddenly, unseen by Lois, a figure in a long cloak and a wide-brimmed black hat steps out of a doorway and follows her, moving silently as a cat. Somewhere above the city, Superman is desperately seeking the very man who, at this tense moment, is dogging Lois Lane's hurried footsteps down a dark street. Will he reach that street in time? Gang, whatever you do, don't miss Monday's episode of The Ghost Brigade. Something strange and startling happens as the Man of Steel solves the mystery and brings the story to an exciting climax. So be sure to tune in again on Monday, same time, same station, for the final chapter of The Ghost Brigade on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you will hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
It's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, panic and terror engulf the city of Metropolis as the Ghost Brigade threatens to strike again. As Superman and the Metropolis police frantically search the length and breadth of the city for what is seemingly the ghost of Jack the Ripper, Lois Lane saunters down a darkened side street on her way home, unaware of a gaunt figure wrapped in an old-fashioned English cape and wearing a wide-brimmed black hat dogging her footsteps. Halfway down the block, the girl reporter pauses momentarily, peering through the inky blackness.
Now, why in the world are the streetlights out? It'd be silly if I couldn't even find my own house.
Then, as she takes a tentative step forward, she is suddenly conscious of someone moving behind her. A heavy footfall, then another and another, approaching in deadly, deliberate rhythm. With a gasp of sudden instinctive fear, Lois spins around, but her wildly searching eyes can see nothing. And as blind, choking panic wells up within her, the smothering blanket of darkness seems to whirl her away into another world. A world that echoes with the sound of approaching doom.
Gang, I just saw a movie that I think is terrific. It's got punch, excitement, and a new idea I know you'll go for. The name of this film is Make Way for Youth. And it's all about kids just like you. Not fake make-believe characters, but honest-to-goodness fellows and girls who ring true in everything they say and do. What's more, the acting isn't done by professional actors, but by high school boys and girls from Madison, Wisconsin. And what a job they do. Melvin Douglas is the narrator of Make Way for Youth, and the story he tells packs a smashing wallop. It begins with a fight between a bunch of high school kids that rocked a town back on its heels. Now, I don't want to give the whole plot away, so I'll just tell you a little bit about what happens. Because of that fight, the kids of the town get together in a youth council. All the different clubs of boys and girls in the town send delegates to a general meeting where they get together and discuss plans for big doings in which all the clubs are to take part. And you'd be surprised how many groups belong to youth councils all over the country. There's the Boy Scouts, the YMCA, the YWCA, the YMHA, the 4-H clubs, the Campfire Girls, and plenty more besides. The movie Make Way for Youth shows how a typical youth council works and some of the things it can and does do. If you haven't been lucky enough to see this wonderful picture yet, ask your school or the neighborhood Y, your 4-H club, Boy Scout troop, or whatever organization you belong to arrange a showing of Make Way for Youth. Arrange for all the kids in your town to see it. Believe me when I tell you that Make Way for Youth is a movie you don't want to miss. And now, the adventures of Superman. Realizing that he must track down and destroy the mysterious Ghost Brigade before he can help Perry White counter the attempts to wreck his administration and drive him out of the office of mayor, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, revisited the Wax Museum with Monsieur Brabant, the sculptor who fashioned most of the wax statues. Kent hoped that Brabant could offer some explanation for the seemingly supernatural activities of the statues of Captain Kidd, Jesse James, and the other infamous members of the Ghost Brigade. However, before the sculptor could volunteer any information, Kent suddenly noticed that one pedestal was empty, a pedestal which had supported the statue of a deadly assassin who, in years gone by, roamed the streets of London, leaving a trail of brutal, cold-blooded murder in his wake. Now the ghost of Jack the Ripper was loose in Metropolis. A few hours later, as dusk settled over the city, the first report of the Ripper's murderous activities reached City Hall, and the entire police department was alerted. Prowl cars ranged every street,
Policemen on foot watched every pedestrian. And, resuming his true identity, Superman took to the air to help in the desperate search. But as the Man of Steel rockets through the night sky, skimming over rooftops, darting through narrow streets and twisting alleys, scanning every shadowy doorway for a glimpse of the maniacal killer, his amazing vision fails to penetrate the Stygian gloom of a small side street, where Lois Lane, helpless and alone, stands paralyzed with fear as the footsteps of the killer come closer and closer.
Who's there? Answer me. Who's there?
Just then, however, a car rounds the far corner of the block. Its twin beams of light cut through the darkness. A tall, dark-cloaked figure is clearly illuminated. A figure towering over Lois, upraised hand clutching a steel-bladed knife. The girl's horrified scream rises clearly through the night air, reaching the keen ears of Superman flying high above the city.
Great Scott! That may be an attack by the Ripper! Down! Down! What? You'll have to use better steel than that, my friend.
Superman, I didn't do nothing.
No, just a little attempted murder. Come here.
No, let go.
Relax or I'll break you in two.
Hey, what's going on here?
It's all right, friend. Everything's under control now.
Gosh, it's Superman.
Thanks for driving down this street. If you hadn't, this poor girl would be dead now.
Well, gosh, you sure she ain't? She's lying awful quiet.
She's all right. She only fainted.
Oh. Well, anything I can do, Superman?
No, thanks. I can handle things. Come on, you.
Put me down. Put me down.
Oh, no. We're going on a little trip. Yeah. Now, Lois under my other arm, and we're all set. There we are. Up, up, and away!
Now, blast it, Henderson, will you stop that infernal pacing? How do you expect me to keep calm when the head of my police department is a nervous wreck?
I'm sorry, Mr. White, but I can't help it. Why don't we get any reports? All my men are out. They're turning the city upside down. We should hear something.
Well, no news is good news. Oh, every time that phone rings, I think Jack the Ripper has another victim.
Good evening, Inspector Henderson.
What?
Mr. White.
Superman. Caesar. Superman. What in blazes is going on?
It's all over, Mayor White. You don't have to worry anymore. I've got Jack the Ripper right here under my arm.
Great jumping bullfrogs.
Well, who's the girl?
Oh.
What? Why, it's Lois.
Yes, she had a bad scare and she fainted, but she seems to be coming around now. Here, I'll put her on the couch.
Get some water, Henderson.
Right. But let me get a look at that Ripper guy.
You will, Inspector. He's going to stick around for a long time.
Oh.
Easy, Miss Lane.
What?
Take it easy.
Why, Superman.
That's right.
And you, Chief.
Yes, Lois.
But what happened? What am I doing here?
Here's the water.
Superman apparently pulled you out of a jam, Lois.
It's him. It's Jack the Ripper.
Steady now.
Keep him away from
No,
me.
he won't hurt you now.
Here, Lois, take some water.
No, I'll be all right.
Well, then let me have it, Mayor White. Let's give the Ripper a good face wash. Get some of that makeup off.
No, let go of me.
Hold still, you.
No.
There, that's better.
Let me see his face.
Take a look.
Why, it's Turkey Morgan. Who? Turkey Morgan. He used to be Mike Hickey's right-hand man before Hickey went to prison.
Well, you mean to say that this fellow has been all those ghosts?
So it seems.
But why? I don't understand.
Turkey knows. He'll tell us. Come on, Turkey.
No, I don't know nothing.
Turkey, remember the little flying trip we just took from uptown? I noticed you didn't enjoy it too much. Perhaps another spin at 5,000 feet might loosen your tongue.
No.
Sometimes my hands get cold up there and I drop what I'm carrying.
No, you wouldn't.
Oh, yes, I would. Inspector Henderson, will you open the window, please?
Sure.
Give him a good ride, Superman.
The best. Let's go, Turkey.
No, don't put me down. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything.
All right, go ahead.
Let me catch my breath.
Catch it fast or you'll be losing it for a long time.
He's stalling. Come on, Turkey, open up. Okay, give me a chance.
Remember, Turkey, we've got you on a charge of attempted murder.
All right. Here it is. The guy behind the whole deal. The guy who thought it up and figured it out is...
Look out, Turkey!
Suddenly, like an arrow sped from a bow, Superman leaps at Turkey Morgan in a flying tackle, sending him sprawling just as a shot rings out. And a bullet meant for the gangster buries itself in the wall. Who fired the shot, timed to eliminate Turkey Morgan an instant before he was about to reveal the man behind the mystery of the Ghost Brigade? We'll know in a moment when we hear the exciting climax of our story. So keep listening.
So he said, so she said, so they said, so we said, yatta, yatta, yat. Some people keep talking. They never stop talking. People like that should be shot. The things that they say never come to an end. They don't stop for breath or for thought. They'll repeat, just like records, again and again, the tidbits of gossip they've caught. They never will think, is it true what I say? Is it something I ought to repeat? Instead, they'll just giggle and whisper to you. You heard Johnny Jones is a cheat. These jerks pick up everything nasty they hear. They never say somebody's swell. But, brother, if once you do anything wrong, you can bank on it. These guys will tell. They come up with some of the strangest remarks. They must have the brains of a pigeon. You should hear the ridiculous things that they say about other folks' race or religion. We know that the way we worship our God doesn't make any difference down deep. That a regular Joe is a regular Joe. And a creep, well, he's still just a creep. But facts never stop dopes from babbling on. The truth might not have as much zip. They'd much rather sell you some nice, juicy lies. Stay away from this bunch. Take our tip. For you can be sure as can possibly be that your name is somewhere on their list. If they've got gossip to tell about you, there's no chance that you're going to be missed. So never be sucker enough to believe the gossip of yatta yatters. They never know anything you'll want to hear. And nothing they say really matters.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Just as Turkey Morgan, captured by Superman and brought to Mayor Perry White's office, was about to reveal the name of the man behind the mystery of the Ghost Brigade, a shot rang out. Moving with the speed of light, Superman caught Morgan in a flying tackle and sent him sprawling as the bullet, intended to silence him forever, passed harmlessly over his head and embedded itself in the wall. Now, a split second later, the Man of Steel is up on his feet, heading for the door of the office, while Perry White, Police Inspector Henderson, Lois Lane, and Turkey Morgan look on in dumbfounded amazement.
Come back here. I saw you fire that shot. You can't get away now.
That's what you think.
That's what I know. Oh, playful, eh? Evidently you haven't heard that bullets bounce off my chest. Well, what are you waiting for? You've got 3 more cartridges in the gun. Come on, shoot them at me. Let's play catch. Oh, those are a little wild. You're getting nervous. Let's have the last one dead center and watch it bounce.
You'll never get me alive.
Oh, so that's it. Saving your last bullet for yourself. No, you don't.
Let me go.
Sorry, you're going to live to face the music. I'll take that gun.
No, thank you.
Now, in you go to tell your dirty double-crossing story to Mayor White and Inspector Henderson.
No.
And when you're through, I want the honor and privilege of escorting you to jail, where I hope they keep you for the rest of your twisted life. Come on, Mr. Rat.
Lifting his captive by the scruff of the neck, Superman carries him back into Perry White's office. Who is the man who tried to silence Turkey Morgan and then, cornered, attempted to take his own life? We'll know tomorrow, gang, when we bring the mystery of the Ghost Brigade to a smashing climax and begin another exciting Superman adventure. So don't miss tomorrow's doubleheader, the solution of the Ghost Brigade mystery, and the beginning of another story. Be sure to listen, same time, same station, to the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you'll hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. Art Van Horn speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Mayor Perry White makes a desperate last-ditch fight to save his administration as Superman takes an important prisoner, and the secret of the mysterious Ghost Brigade is revealed.
All right, step inside. Turkey Morgan will be interested in seeing you.
Now, get your hands off me. Put me down.
Inside, I said.
Superman, what's going on?
Just a moment, Mr. White. Turkey, do you know this man?
Let me go.
I'll say I do. He's the guy you want. He's the leader of the Ghost Brigade.
Gang, how'd you like your pup to be judged the best of all the dogs of every breed in America's most important dog show? Well, thousands of people jammed Madison Square Garden last year just to see that lucky winner, Warlord of Mazalane. Congratulations poured into Nate Levine, the man who handled and trained Warlord. To Nate, it was just one more prize to add to his collection. For Nate Levine is one of the greatest dog handlers in America, and winning prizes is an old story to him. You see, Nate won his first prize when he was all of 10 years old, and he hasn't stopped winning them ever since. He won that first prize of his with a lovely little collie named Pine Ridge Sweet Mary. It was something to see when that 10-year-old kid proudly walked up to accept the coveted award he'd snatched from under the noses of the professional dog trainers. Now, that started him on his career, and he's stuck to it ever since. Now, when it comes to naming his favorite kind of dog, Nate just can't do it. I just can't pick a favorite breed, he says. I don't have any. There are wonderful dogs of every type and every kind. Wonderful collies, boxers, Scotties. After all, dogs are very much like people. Just as you don't have all the best people belonging to only one race, so you don't have all the best dogs belonging to only one breed. I like a dog because of its individual qualities and not because it happens to be born a member of a certain breed. Well, Nate, you should know. Gang, be sure to listen at the end of this program because we'll be giving you some training tips for your dogs from Nate. Be sure to listen.
And now, the adventures of Superman. With Superman's capture of Turkey Morgan, who, disguised as the deadly assassin Jack the Ripper, terrorized the city of Metropolis, the mystery of the Ghost Brigade reached an amazing climax. Brought to Perry White's office in City Hall, where he was cross-examined by the editor-mayor and Police Inspector Henderson, Turkey finally broke down and was about to divulge the identity of the leader of the Ghost Brigade when suddenly a shot rang out. Almost instantaneously, Superman leaped forward and knocked Turkey to the floor, and the bullet buried itself harmlessly in the wall. Then, without wasting a second, the Man of Steel whirled and streaked out into the hall in close pursuit of the mysterious assailant. Now, a moment later, he reappears, holding a familiar figure by the arm. White, Henderson, and Lois Lane stare in surprise, but Turkey Morgan lunges forward, pointing an accusing finger.
That's him. That's the guy. I took orders from him. He and Mike Hickey were pot grades, Caesar.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, they made a deal. Hickey would turn this town on its ear, and then Hammer would walk in and grab the mayor's office and spring Hickey out of the pen. Between the two of them, they'd have this town sewed up tight.
Good heavens.
Listen, White, if you think that criminal's word will stand up against mine...
It'll stand up all right, Hammer. And the charge of attempted murder will stand up, too.
Will it? On whose evidence? Your friends? The people of Metropolis will never believe you. Besides, you'll never get to them before I'm elected mayor.
Oh, good heavens, Chief. The special election. It's tomorrow. I forgot all about it.
Yes, the special election. No one will ever believe the man they themselves chose could be guilty of any crime. You'll never be able to tell them in time.
I won't, eh? Hammer, you're going to get the shock of your life. Henderson, take him away. I've got work to do.
Right, sir. Come on, Hammer. There's a law against carrying a loaded weapon in this city. But didn't you know it?
Oh, Inspector, what about Turkey? Do you want me to take him in?
I can handle them both. Come on, Morgan.
Well, Inspector seems happier than I've seen him in a long time.
So am I. And now let's get to work.
What can we do, Chief? It's almost 10 o'clock. You'll never be able to get a special edition out in time.
Oh, special edition be hanged. I'm going on the air. I'll talk to the people directly.
But how will you get an audience?
You go back to the office. Get on the phone. Get Jimmy on the phone.
Yes.
And Ken, if you can find him. Call everyone you know. Get them to call everyone they know. Spread the word all over town that I'll be on the air at 11 o'clock, and I'll tell the whole story of the Ghost Brigade.
Good idea. Think I can lend a hand, too, Mayor White. See you later.
Right. And thanks, Superman. But remember, we've only got 1 hour.
Hello, Mr. Gaines. This is Lois Lane of the Daily Planet. Now, listen, this is important. Please listen to station WDPN tonight at 11. Mayor White is going to make an important speech. And call all your friends, will you? Ask them to listen.
Hello, Bob. This is Jim Olson. I want you and your folks to listen to the radio at 11 o'clock tonight, will you? Mayor White's going to talk. He's got something important to say. And call up all the other guys. Get everybody to listen.
That's right, ma'am. 11 o'clock tonight. Mayor White is speaking.
Don't forget, it's awful important. You gotta listen to him.
Mayor White, 11 o'clock.
Mayor White, 11 o'clock.
So Perry White's friends leap to his aid, calling one number after another, passing the word throughout the city. And high in the night sky, Superman does his share for the fighting editor. Young Jimmy Olsen, taking a breather at the office window, looks up, stares, and calls...
Miss Lane, come here quick.
I can't, Jimmy. I haven't time.
You gotta look. It's Superman.
Oh? What's he doing?
He's flying over the city, pulling a banner along behind him. See it? Must be at least 100 feet long.
Oh, yes. Here, Mayor White, 11 o'clock tonight, station WDPN. Oh, how wonderful, Jim. That's what he meant by lending a hand.
Wow, what a deal.
Good heavens. It's 11 o'clock now. Turn the radio on.
Leaping lizards.
Bring you a special address by His Honor, Perry White, Mayor of Metropolis.
In time.
Mayor White. Friends and citizens of Metropolis, I am speaking to you tonight not as the mayor, but as a man with certain facts in his possession. Facts which you must know. In the past 2 weeks, Metropolis has been visited by what has been popularly called the Ghost Brigade. We've seen Captain Kidd, Jesse James, Jack the Ripper, and others. Well, they have been led by a Benedict Arnold, by a double-crossing traitor in our own city government, by Councilman Albert Hammer.
That's telling the truth.
Councilman Hammer entered into an agreement with Mike Hickey, former political boss of Metropolis, now in the state penitentiary.
Well, here are the latest returns, Chief. Read them and cheer.
A clean sweep. Certainly makes me feel good.
It should. That was a wonderful speech you made last night.
Oh,
Chief.
it wasn't only the speech. It was your work, Lois. And yours, Jim.
Well, thanks, Mr. White.
And that expose on the ghost that you wrote, Ken.
How in the world did you ever find out, Clark?
Oh, by fitting the pieces together. Obviously, the wax figures couldn't move by themselves, but the wax pieces we found fitted them. I did some checking with Turkey Morgan and found out they had a woman, a seamstress, make the clothes using the statues as a model. When she fitted the clothing to the statues, some of the wax came off, sticking to the material. And the pieces dropped off later where I found them.
Well, the whole thing certainly was ingenious. Too bad a mind like that couldn't be used for good instead of evil.
Well, it's getting late, and I have a story to write.
Oh, no, Lois. No more work. Not for a while, anyway.
What?
What do you mean, Chief?
We're all going on a vacation, starting right now.
Oh!
I want you and Lois and you too, Jim, to be my guests on a fishing trip.
Oh, hey,
that's marvelous.
Well, my boat is in Florida now. We can catch a plane tonight and be out on the Gulf Stream in the morning.
Oh, Jim,
no more
that's
work,
wonderful.
no more work and no more worries for the next 2 weeks.
Editor White smiles, and Kent, Lois, and Jimmy smile with him in anticipation of 2 full weeks of pleasure. But their smiles would fade instantly if they could only look ahead. For what Perry White plans as a vacation cruise may turn out to be the strangest adventure of their lives. We'll know more in just a moment, gang, so keep listening.
Gang, here are some tips from Nate Levine, one of the greatest dog handlers in the country, on how you can train your dog to win at the dog shows. For one thing, Nate tells us, never hit a dog. If you hit a dog, it will become afraid of a hand and unable to take direction. Now, that doesn't mean you're to let a dog do anything he wants to. Be firm with him, but never rough. Don't let him go right if you want to go left. Use the leash to train him, but don't hit. And when your pup has done something well, let him know it. Give him a pat or a special treat and let him know you're pleased. Now, if you're preparing your dog for a dog show, you've got to watch the way he walks, his gait it's called, and see that he moves properly. There are different gaits for different breeds, and your dog must have the proper gait if he's going to bring home a prize. You've also got to train him to acquire the mannerisms of the type of breed he represents. He must be able to take the kind of pose at the dog show which is correct for his breed. Now, all this takes a lot of practice. It's no cinch. So make sure you practice posing your dog and training him at home so that when he comes to the show, he'll know what to do and how to do it. Well, there you are, gang. A few hints from the master. Right now, you know, the master, Nate, he's busy training dogs for the big Morris and Essex show that's going to be held May 22nd. It's the biggest outdoor dog show in the world, and Nate will be entering some collies, boxers, beagles, and Shetland sheepdogs. Nate always enters many breeds because he believes that there are fine dogs of every type, and he judges them just as he judges his friends as individuals. Well, good luck, Nate, and may the best dog win.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. As you know, Perry White invited Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen on a southern fishing trip as a reward for having helped solve the mystery of the Ghost Brigade. As we join them now, they have flown south and are all aboard White's cruiser, the Marauder, drifting on the warm blue waters of the Gulf Stream off the coast of Florida.
Gee, Mr. White, this is swell. Wait till I tell my mother about fishing way out on the Atlantic Ocean.
I've got one. I've got a fish.
Oh, hold your rubber. Hold it up. Start reeling, Lois.
Oh, boy, look at him take.
Hold up your rubber. Bring it in. Come on.
Oh, I lost it.
No wonder. You fish like a washerwoman.
You keep the line taut,
How do you
Lois.
expect me to catch anything with everybody screaming instructions at once?
We weren't
I
screaming.
give up. I do.
Maybe I'll hook the one you lost. I'm at a strike for over an hour.
Make it fast. We're going in soon.
Oh, gosh, do we have to?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock. It'll be dark soon.
Hey, bet you an ice cream soda I catch one before you do, Jim.
Okay, Mr. Ken, it's a bet.
Right.
Come on, fish, get hungry.
Oh, look, the moon is coming up.
Where?
See it on the horizon over there?
Oh, you're crazy. There's no moon tonight. And if there were, it'd come up out of the east. Over there.
Well, then what's that strange glow in the sky just off the water? Do you see it?
No.
Great Scott. Where are the binoculars, Chief?
On the transom.
Oh.
What's all the excitement?
No, Lois discovered a new moon in the north.
Do you see anything, Clark?
Plenty. Reel in, Jim. Chief, start the motor. We're going out there.
Are you crazy?
No, it's something floating out there, something strange.
I don't care. We're going into dock.
You can't just ignore it, Chief.
We can't go tooting off into the ocean chasing strange lights either.
It isn't just a light. It's something
Oh,
fantastic.
now look here, can't
Start
go...
the motor, Chief. We've got to go out there. Lest my eyes deceive me, we've stumbled on something out of this world.
No one, not even Clark Kent, realizes how true those words are. The strange and unearthly glow is something out of this world. Something that has never been seen by the human eye before. Gang, whatever you do and wherever you are, don't miss tomorrow's opening episode of the new Superman story, The Mystery of the Sleeping Beauty. As Clark Kent said, it's fantastic and amazing, and you'll thrill to every minute of it. So join us tomorrow, same time, same station, for Chapter 1 of The Mystery of the Sleeping Beauty on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you'll hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.